It's hump day.
Oh, welcome back. First time
Welcome back.
broadcaster here today, apparently.
Yeah. We had some issues. I'm
I don't know about
breaking.
this weed business.
Well, listen. Breaking usually has lately been setting up the stream, and I always ask every time. I'm like, "Did you set up the stream?" He's like, "Yeah." So today, 5 minutes before we go live, I'm like, "You set the stream it right?" He's like, "Oh, I didn't do it." I was like, "Oh no."
The
So
one day. The
yeah,
one day.
the one day you didn't do it, the one day I didn't ask,
But of course,
whatever.
I'm not the one who starts the show off. You usually do that, and it's like,
Listen,
why isn't anything syncing
listen
up?
with
Why isn't
all
anything
these
syncing up?
excuses with why you let the drop the
Um,
ball. It's all good.
we got to go live before you can play the intro.
That's your
Oh,
fault. Again, you distracted.
well, that's how it is.
Apparently, that's all your fault. I'm not going to take any of this on. Are you kidding me?
Okay.
I'm,
Well, how is everybody doing today? Good to see you guys over on Twitch, over on the YouTube side. Good to have you. Periscope, we got a goose egg over there for however long we're going to last there. D Live, we got a few of you guys. And of course, over on the Foxhole, looks like, well, we're live. Nobody chatting over there yet. So good to have you all aboard on this Wednesday hump day.
yeah, well, we didn't schedule it, so people might be like, one of them days they'll
Yeah,
trickle in. That's all
they
good.
know where to find us. We're here every Wednesday.
Mm-hmm. Typically, only missed a couple, but it is what it is. So anyway, I want okay, so Breaking brought up something to me last night. I don't know how prepared you are to do this. You might want to get into it later, but he brought up this thing, and I'm sure y'all have seen it floating around Gab, and a couple other channels have mentioned it about those cargo ships and their names and stuff like that. But he was talking to me about it last night, and I was like, you should just do a show on that because it's pretty interesting, to say the least.
I was going to say, I'll probably save that toward the end. We can probably get through all the other stuff and then maybe save that toward the back end because I don't know how long it's actually going to take to get through all this stuff. Just a
Oh
thought.
well, yeah, that's fine with me. That's
I
fine with
figured
me.
you'd have probably 3,500 different articles you wanted to bang through in about 30 seconds. So,
Are you really throwing shade today? Does everybody hear this? Throwing shade.
yeah, that's what I'm good at.
Whatever. Okay, you wanna let's see. I'll show you this one. Guess what? They managed to clean up the park in Seattle. After the government funding ran out and they wouldn't get any more federal money, it's amazing how these things can just completely reverse themselves. But anyway, so it says it took 8 months, over 60. I would argue took 3 years. 60 calls to 911, 10 arsons, illegal burns, which I would argue that number too, 5 domestic violence incidents, 4 assaults, 3 sex offenses, and an attempt to burn an officer alive in his patrol vehicle. To settle Seattle's officials to wait a minute to get Seattle officials to clear a massive downtown homeless encampment. Okay, so it says the sweep came only after a private group of fed up volunteers did their own outreach work and cleanup. So this wasn't the government did this. This was the people that lived around there. What was that guy's name? He's on Twitter a lot. He went around to like Boston stuff to do that cleanup. Oh god, it starts with a Pressler.
Scott
Yeah, I think it's
Pressler.
Scott Pressler. Yeah, he like kind of like one of these deals with the locals. As progressive American cities fall to the homeless from San Francisco to Los Angeles, California to Portland, Oregon to New York, it is time to tackle the issues ourselves rather than wait for city leaders to act. So I'll kind of skip down to some of the most important parts. Here's some of the pictures. This is the guy that tweeted out about how many crimes and the arsons and the assaults. And again, I would probably argue those numbers are radically understated. We're talking about Seattle here. Denny Park is Seattle's oldest and serene piece of green peace, but it says, where's that part? Okay, some residents are no longer waiting for the city to act. Andrea Suri, whatever that is, sorry if I'm massacring your name, formed We Heart Seattle, a volunteer-led effort to clean up the city. In just a few weeks, her group did more to address the problem at Denny Park than the city has done in years. And then it's kind of, there we go. It says Serez says her group helped house 29 homeless people, picked up 53,000 pounds of trash. Again, remember, these are people screaming at you about the global warming and global, the climate change and all this other shit. Left 53,000 pounds of trash from city parks and shared spaces. They're doing more effective work on a shoestring budget funded by donations than the city and its $167 million budget. So again, it's just funny to me how these local people can go in here and do this stuff, and then this whole city has done absolutely nothing. But when the money runs out, I guess the protests don't mean as much. Well, there's that. There's that story for the day. Can we go again?
Yeah, you can continue on for a little bit.
Oh, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mason.
You have my
Okay,
permission.
so if anybody knows what happened in Atlanta about all that massage parlors and all we've seen all over the airwaves about white people's fault, not that white person's fault, all the white people apparently. So in a hypocritical fashion, in your face some karma, that stuff that happened in Colorado. The man was a Syrian refugee, or from Syria at least. He murdered 10. I don't know. You tell me what these people look like. Look like white people to me. All 10 of them, white people. I don't see anybody on Twitter going, the entire Muslim race is white, racist against white people. I don't see any of that stuff now that this hypocrisy has been highlighted. But and that's what Andy Knows says. It says photographs of the 10 people killed by suspect Ahmad Ala Isa in Boulder, Colorado. I was told a few days ago that race of victims in shootings matter, even if there is no evidence of race playing a role in the attack. So again, I just pointing out the hypocrisy and the race fueled rhetoric by the mainstream media. And whenever it doesn't fit their narrative, they are silent. They don't say anything about it.
Well, I did see something, and don't have it immediately in front of me, but saw that Laura Loomer had posted something to the effect that each of those were of Jewish descent. But I can either confirm or corroborate, I suppose. Like I said, I just happened to catch the headline this morning scrolling through the old feed. So obviously, it's very, very convenient that these shootings, if you will, whether it be down around Atlanta or even the one now in Boulder, Colorado, just happen to coincide, as usual, with, just a couple pieces of legislation that some very, very ambitious Democrats would love to pass to reinforce the days of gun grabs and Brady bills and things of that nature. And let's just take a naked Second Amendment gun grab from across the country. Let's just go full tyranny, shall we?
Yeah. Well, if you're gonna bring up immigration, I got a couple things to say on that. Where can I even freaking start? Okay, let me skip that one. I'll bring up that one at the end. Okay. There's this one now. I'm gonna run out of stuff. You better be able to cover the rest of it. Biden's under investigation by the GAO for halting billions of dollars to finish the border wall. So there's so much. Democrat President Joe Biden is reportedly under investigation for halting billions of dollars into payments that were set to go out to companies that were tasked with finishing the President Donald Trump southern border wall. Now, the Government Accountability Office is launching a review to determine whether the new president broke the law by freezing the money in violation of budget rules designed to keep Congress in control of the cash flow. Politico reported. The probe highlights the challenge presidents have historically faced in fulfilling campaign promises that require money to be spent or suspended at odds with Congress's intent. The report came as Biden's border crisis has overwhelmed the U.S.-Mexico border, promoting backlash against Biden from Republicans, Democrats, and even the president of Mexico. So if you didn't know, yeah. They've interviewed people at the wall, and they're like, would you have come here during Trump? They're like, hell to the no. Well, why did you come? Well, because Biden said he was going to let everybody in. I mean, look at the rhetoric where they're talking about making every illegal immigrant a U.S. citizen while we're under a pandemic that we've been hearing about for a year, that if you don't wear a mask, you're hateful and you don't love your grandma. While we've been told that all these American businesses have to stay shut down and then lose their livelihood, we're just bringing in thousands of people that we're going to have to feed. Makes perfect sense. So anyway, so we'll see what happens here. I'm so sick of investigations. I'm so sick of accountability review boards and ethic committees and all these things that they come out and write about, then nothing ever happens. I mean, how many hearings do we have with Google and Twitter and all of that shit? How many here and Facebook? How many hearings did we see like a bunch of old folks sit up in front of them and talk about what they were doing and it being wrong? But did anything change? Did anything change?
It's
I
all
think
for
again we're seeing change now because they know they've let the cat out of the bag, and instead of it being a cat, they've got a horde of them running at their faces. Now they're coming for them, and now they want to do something. Go
yeah,
ahead. What was you gonna say?
it's all for show. I mean, there's nothing that's going to come out of these. There's no accountability, no responsibility. At the end of the day, these guys, every single one of them on Capitol Hill, I don't care if you're talking Google, Facebook, uh, Twitter, or whatever it is. All you have to do, go to Open the Books, go to opensecrets.org, and look at how many campaign contributions they get, regardless of what side of the aisle they're on. Period. You honestly believe if they're taking money to help them get reelected back into office, that they're really going to drop the hammer on any of these guys? Give me a break. And by the way,
Well,
to your quick point on he may have broken the law, laws are for little people. When are you going to figure that out?
Well, this one says for two million little people, reports have indicated that there are more than 15,000 unaccompanied minors in U.S. custody, which is nearly twice as high as the previous record. Well, that's going on, and our economy is trying to struggle, and businesses are back opening back up. The UCLA student government passes a stipend to compensate undocumented students. Okay, what is this about? The UCLA Student Association Council unanimously passed a $23,000 fund called the Undocu Council Member Stipend on March the 2nd, according to the College Fix. The stipend allows undocumented students who cannot not obtain work to be financially compensated for their work on the student council. Ban people on the student council, but only illegal immigrants. The University of California payroll system cannot hire students without work authorization because it's illegal. Undocumented students without deferred action for childhood arrivals because it's illegal. But this is what they. So who's holding UCLA accountable for doing this? Okay, who's suing this college for doing this? The $23,000 stipend is equivalent to two council members' yearly pay. The pay comes from the student council's so-called surplus fund, which is taken from student tax dollars. So students' tax dollars, instead of doing things to do things at the college to help the students or build some other kind of program, they're using it to give to illegal immigrants. Like, I mean, I would be so again as long as you're in this country legally, I don't give a damn. I don't care. Be here legally is all we ask. I think the majority of us ask that. That's all that we demand to follow the law. But when you have people that go to a college and you've had a mother that struggled to get you there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and had took out all these loans and fought for an education, and you see an article like that, and you're like, you know what, I would have loved $1,000 to help pay for my kids' books so I didn't have to, not pay my car payment for 2 months. Like it's ridiculous to me how they don't see how this is basically bigotry. It is bigotry to pull out something that is against our laws and say we're going to do it anyway,
So
and it being targeted towards one class of people.
which law would you be referring to here? Because I mean, at the end of the day, if you think back to the run up to the election, right? What was Trump running on? He was running on law and order. So what do we have now? Lawlessness. So it doesn't matter what laws we have on the books. God knows we got tens of millions of laws. As Tacitus once said, the more numerous the laws, the more corrupt the government. Um, so I'm not necessarily sure what additional laws or enforcement should take place other than do your damn jobs on the border, regardless of what is being dictated to you. You know what's right at the end of the day. Why do you think reinforcements and that have been coming left and right? Civilians and former vets and everything else storming the borders at this point to help stem the tide.
Well, while they're doing that in California to illegal immigrants, illegal immigrants. This is what's happening currently in Michigan to a legal immigrant. She just got jailed because she wouldn't shut her business down. So, yay, supporters have started, I guess, the GoFundMe, and the latest news she wants to give it away. But a Polish immigrant living in Michigan has been jailed by authorities after she refused to comply with lockdown orders the business owners says are unconstitutional. So apparently Tucker Carlson reported on it. I guess that's how the GoFundMe got jumped off. But Marlena Povlos Hackney is in jail. She was arrested very early this morning before 6 a.m. by police, taken away in ankle shackles and wrist cuffs. They grabbed her and sent her away for longer than people who commit gun crimes in Detroit get. We're told she'll be in jail for 93 days unless she pays a $35,000 fine, and the Michigan Board of Health deems it safe for her to be released. She's not going to pay. She shouldn't pay. Who in the hell determined the Michigan Board of Health gets to determine when someone. What? The judge who did this, Rosemarie Aquilina, defended the arrest, saying that Povlos Hackney has put the community at risk. We're in the middle of a pandemic, the host concluded. By the way, they presented zero evidence that she had any role in the pandemic. None. No scientific evidence whatsoever. But they want you to know that defiance is the real crime. So that's the issue here. That's the real issue. But it says the Ingham County Circuit Court. Wait a minute. Povlos Hackney continued to keep her doors open, refused to comply with social distancing and mask measures, leading to fees, fines, and the suspension of her food license in January. Ingham County Circuit Judge Wanda Stokes subsequently issued a bench warrant on March the 4th for the owner's arrest. I'm not afraid. I'm fighting for freedom in America, she told the news outlet. Hackney also refused to turn herself into authority. Supporters gathered outside. There was one other part, apparent Michigan party. You hear my dog snoring? You hear that? That's my little dog snoring. Sorry, guys, if you can. So supporters have also contributed over $26,000 for Hackney, who is currently facing legal trouble, fees, and fines. But yeah, so anyway, that went on. So this is what they're doing to this lady that's a legal immigrant from Poland and Michigan, while California is like, oh no, undocumented, perfect. We're going to give you some money just for being, just for being illegal.
Yeah, I see Thumper Rose out there says Michigan already had Supreme Court say the mandates are illegal. The state government does nothing care. Yeah, that's absolutely true because if you remember, was it middle to late part of last year, maybe in the fall time or whatever, Supreme Court came down with the edict, and old Whitmer and that was found to be overreaching in her authority under these emergency powers, right? As have many of the blue state wonders across the country here, overextending their authority that they think that they have. And of course, she was smacked down, but immediately after that, what did she do? Well, she passed off that authority over to her health board, part of her executive branch. So, can't catch me, like little gingerbread man. We'll just pass it off to a bureaucracy that has no accountability whatsoever, not tied to the people. And of course, we'll play this game. So, of course, the people, if the folks in Michigan decide to rise up, they would need to take their qualms to court against the health bureau, which I'm sure they would just continue to play this cat and mouse game. That's the ridiculousness of it all at the end of the day. All right, well, let's switch it up just a little bit here. I'm going to talk a little bit about financials and that here real quick, just kind of talk a little bit about what I covered last week by some of the chip makers. Now, if I can get my share to work, there we go. All right. And of course, I'm talking about the chip stuff, the fact that people are having trouble getting their chipsets and that for various builds. There's a little bit of a lead into this. We know that Ford production had been shut down. I think Dodge Ram trucks and that have been shut down here as of late. Whole host of others and that, and it's all based on semiconductors because obviously not only automobiles use the things for all of their various computers, but so do most of our electronics. And of course, with the COVID stuff shutting down supply lines and things of that nature, it's put a major bottleneck in the supply. So interesting thing that came out here on the 22nd to further compound things, Japanese semi plant fire to have major impact on already bottlenecked auto industry. The semiconductor supply shortages continue to sting the automotive industry globally. On Monday morning, a fire at a semiconductor factory in Japan had the entire industry jumpy and was sparking further concerns over chip supply shortages in the industry, according to Bloomberg. The fire took place at a clean room at Japanese company Renesas, a major provider of auto chips. Renesas CEO Hidetoshi Shibata said that the incident is likely to have a major impact on the car industry. And the part that caught me out of all that was, okay, if this is in a clean room, how in the world does that affect the rest of the plant? Why would it have such an impact? I don't know. It's beyond me. Article continues, says 2/3 of the affected production lines were making automotive chips, according to the Wall Street Journal. The journal also wrote that the effect could have wide-ranging reach. Mariko Sametko, a credit analyst at Moody's Japan, said the fire was likely to damp the recovery of global auto production this year, while automakers said they were still assessing the impact. Mr. Shibata said the company was trying to make up for the lost production at other plants, but didn't know whether that was possible. The company estimated the revenue losses at the equivalent of $160 million a month. Names like Toyota, Volkswagen, and Continental will be on watch heading into the beginning of the week, as they are all customers of Renesas. Bloomberg also reports Monday morning that names like BMW, Daimler, and Stellantis, in addition to auto-exposed chip makers like Infineon, ST Micro, and Melexis, could all be negatively affected by the fire. We have all written about the shortage has wreaked chaos on the auto industry so far in 2021. Recall just days ago, we noted that Samsung was the latest to join the chorus of companies stating they were being negatively affected by the shortage. The company said the current crisis is a very serious and that it poses a slight problem for the electronics company heading into the second quarter. The company continues to try and address supply issues. Reuters reported that CEO and mobile chief Ko Dong-jin said at Samsung's recent annual general meeting. So I'll break from that and go to the next that's also along those lines, talking about the semiconductors. Here today, chip shortage puts market-beating rally at risk. This from Bloomberg, authored by Michael Masika, says shares in car makers have more than doubled in the past 12 months, boosted by bets of an economic recovery and demand for electric vehicles. The rally is now hitting some road bumps on growing worries that a chip shortage will hold up production. While investors have largely focused on the industry's growth prospects, pushing the stock 600 autos and parts index up 135% since last year's market low, sentiment is taking a hit this week. Companies including Stellantis, BMW, Porsche, Volvo, and Volkswagen are warning about production delays because of chip supplies drying up, along with some U.S. peers. Says it is a serious issue for the entire industry, so everybody is suffering at the same measure, says Neshi Yazgan, senior corporate analyst at Blue Bay Asset Management. This is especially relevant for the automotive industry since they have had the longest chain, with parts being delivered from different geographies. Earlier this year, Mitsubishi UFJ Morgan Stanley securities analyst estimated that the shortage would reduce global vehicle production by 1.5 million units. European automakers are leading gains in the market rebound, March 2020 low. I'm going to skip ahead just a little bit in the article. Where did that go? Here we go. Still, the supply disruption may prove temporary. Bloomberg NEF analyst Alejandro Zamorano expects the impact to show mostly in quarterly production numbers, with any losses to global vehicle output recovered in the latter part of this year. Luca Resigno, portfolio manager at Marengo Financial, also sees the issue as likely to be a short-term drag on automakers' financial performance. Then it gets into the EV stuff. Says, meanwhile, the growing need for semiconductors bodes well for its makers. Analysts at Liberum expect chip shares to outperform following a recent correction on rising bond yields, while Federated Hermes Grant is a particularly bullish on semiconductor equipment makers. Credit Suisse highlights the growing use of silicon carbide technology in the EV power market, naming ST Micro and Infineon as stocks with exposure. And then right at the bottom here, they're talking about Intel because in recent days, it's been announced that they're going to start building factories for chips here stateside as well. It says yesterday, Intel Corp unveiled a plan to spend billions of dollars on new factories and creating a foundry business that will make chips for other companies. The higher demand for chip is probably structural and will require the semiconductor companies to adjust their capacities accordingly, says Marengo Rasingo. With supply chains restored, the real game changer for auto producers will be the ability to meet new customers' connectivity needs and electrification challenges, which are in fact contributing to the increase in demand for semiconductors. So, what does all that mean at the end of the day? Well, it's not only a drag just on the auto side of things, but think of everything that uses a semiconductor these days, everything in your hand, all the various gadgets. And think of the impact it has to, establishing like the Internet of Things and everything else for their surveillance grid, our 24/7 police state that we're now under. Do you think that they'll pull out of that? Maybe is this a permanent disruption that was planned? Maybe people are trying to thwart that. I don't know. It's tough to say, but I find it very interesting that over the last several months that this thing continues to compound.
Yeah. Yeah, good points. You want me to spit through some of mine now?
Sure.
I like the thing. I'm telling you, I like the thing you talked about to me yesterday. I'm
I'm
trying
getting
to
there.
want to make sure he's got plenty of time to do
Oh, I
that.
forgot. I
Okay,
forgot
so
one. Forgot one thing. Forgot one thing. On top of that, continue my thought on that real quick. Interesting little meme put out there. $800 worth of lumber, 2018 on top. $800 worth of lumber in 2021. Why is that important, folks? If you're not paying attention out of all this, aside from chips and everything else, we're being inflated away. In case you hadn't noticed, the Federal Reserve has now printed since August 2019. I believe the figure is about 3.9 trillion. 3.9 trillion. We might be talking a little real money here. But bottom line is about 160 billion a month. They're adding extra digits on the screen. They're putting more dollars into circulation. And at the end of the day, what happens? Well, you see the effects of that right there. You get less with the same amount, as it has every single time that they have ever added more dollars to the old ledger, right? And it's going to continue to be that way. They don't have your interest in mind, period. And so my advice would be to get what you need now, because frankly, I foresee the days of a Weimar Republic coming in the future if things don't change here and soon. We've seen that even since Biden got elected, that gas prices have gone up every single week since. I don't know where you're at, Soko, but right around here where I'm at, we're hovering right around the $3 mark. And just before the election, I think we were down around maybe about $1.70, $1.80, somewhere in there, something like that. So it's going to have an impact, folks.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so let's see. I'm trying to save a couple of these articles to bring up at the very end that hopefully goes along with yours. So I'm going to skip over these two. I want to talk to you about this. Okay, so I'm going to say something first. Is that usually with in these situations, when they come out and tell the general public that they have something like this, typically they've had it for at least a decade, if not multiple. So I saw this was interesting. German researchers create then erase false memories in people's minds. I'm gonna just remember this is not even the most key thing here. To me, German researchers create then erase people's minds. Okay, so I would believe if you can erase a false memory, you could erase a real one. Tell me the difference? A team of researchers in Germany has completed successful experiments in which they showcase how false memories can easily be planted. Okay, so you can make somebody believe something. Remember heard MK Ultra that they all laughed at us about? We tried to talk about. No. And more importantly, erased with potentially serious implications for the justice system, I think. The team from the University of Hagen. Oh my gosh, y'all. I ain't even going to attempt it. That word right there. Okay, there we go. Well, hell, all that. And the University of Portsmouth. I got that one. Conducted a series of memory experiments on volunteers over the course of several sessions. They want to both confirm that it's possible to implant or incept, if you will, false memories in the mind of a subject using certain psychological techniques and tricks. They rely heavily on the power of suggestion through repetition, while also discovering to what extent the memories can be erased. In the latest experiment, the researchers created fictional but plausible stories for 52 participants' childhoods and blended them with events that actually took place. So the researchers then reinforced these false memories in the minds of the participants by asking the volunteers' parents to play along and claim things happened exactly as described, including the additional fictional elements. This process was repeated over the course of multiple sessions to such a degree that many of the participants became convinced the accounts were in fact true, and thus a false memory was born. Now all that remains was to extract these false memories from the minds of volunteers, which turned out to be almost as key as implanting them had been. They merely asked the volunteers to identify the source of the memory while highlighting the fact that false memories can create through a process of repeated elicited recall that itself can become a form of conditioning. So, but blah blah blah. We all knew this, okay? But this is an article talking about how they're implementing false memories, and again, I'm going to be cautious with the use keyword here, false, and then being able to erase them. So thanks for coming out and talking about RT, that the Germans now figured out how to do it. Our CIA was doing MK Ultra, 50 years ago. So I just thought it was interesting that they came out with that article saying, oh, well, we can implant, a certain thought in your head, and then we can, see what we can do to erase the dang thing. Okay, one more. Hang on, sorry. One more. I'll buzz through this, and I'm going to set you up, so I hope you're ready. This is, I don't know if you've heard about this, but about Twitter trolling, Tucker Carlson. I mean, this is embarrassing. I mean, it really is that official Marines account would say something um, directed, like calling him a boomer. I don't know. I'm sure you have heard that, but I just thought I'd quickly reference it because it was just stupid. This is about Biden now supports ending the filibuster, held meeting on how big and fast he can jam through his agenda. So everybody knows that Obama was loved the filibuster. The Democrats have used the filibuster, I don't know how many times, but now they say it can be used against them. It's just like what they did with Bloomberg whenever they changed all the rules to get that man on the election stage. Now they're sitting here having an issue with the filibuster and want it taken off the table. Even freaking HRC, and I don't like saying her name, came out and did some kind of video yesterday or day before talking about how, oh no, we need to get rid of it. We should be forced to work together. That's you get rid of the filibuster, so you make everybody work together, which does not happen. Democrats are radical. They don't want to hear anything common sense wise. And by the way, a Washington Post article, 3 months old, have implicit bias, train those toddlers about social justice. 3 months old. And people say these people aren't radical. People say these people aren't conspiracy theorists. Use all those same tags and names and crap that they use against you if you believe that it's somebody that has boobs and if a JJ is a woman. Use the same daggum mentality when they come out and try to say a 3-year-old needs to be taught about social justice because they have implicit bias. I mean, not 3-month-old. 3-month-old. Month. Can't even walk. Barely sit up, depending on, the kid. So I just think it's stupid. The article starts by asserting that in the era of Black Lives Matter and Me Too, many parents are wondering when the right time to talk to their children about social justice. Talk. They can't talk back. They cuckoo caca. What are they going to say? The experts get whoa. Okay, anyway, just want you can find this if you want it. It's just again highlighting the ridiculousness when they say we're crazy. And now North Carolina, little good news, state legislator introduces a bill to ban biological males from women's sports. Listen, there's an argument to be made that what transgender people want to compete in sports or whatever. But the answer is not to put transgender women, i.e. males, into full-blown women's sports and then think that that's some kind of righteous thing to do. When you're watching a guy decide a year ago that he's a woman and then get into these sports and just dominate, crushing records, watching them walk all over. These girls have been trying out for track and all this stuff and doing really, really well for years. And then you want to be like, well, social justice says that we should let him win everything. Do you understand how like comical it is to me to listen to a bunch of women talk about women's rights and equality and not being, you viewed as just as a sexuality or whatever? Okay, but women should be have the same jobs and have the same, opportunities, and then have those same women get on a soapbox and talk about how they should allow biological men into women's sports and watch them crush women in them. And then they see nothing wrong with the hypocrisy of statements. Like you're talking about men have all this privilege and all this other stuff. Well, hell, you're handing them your records over here in these sports because at the end of the day, they're biological men crushing these records. I mean, the hypocrisy is there. So yeah. Oh, and let me set you up because I hope you're ready to talk about this. By the way, Radix just sent me this, and I've tried to skim over it. But this says walks back the bill to give progressive groups influence over hate crimes and data police training. So I skimmed through it. I saw down here about how they're talking about the bill allows community organizations to create curriculum for law enforcement training on hate crimes. The curriculum would require approval from the Peace Officer Standards and Training Board and Department of Human Rights. The final provision in the bill would allow community organizations. There's the key word here. They don't ever define it. Community organizations to collect reports on bias-motivated crimes and submit the data to the Department of Human Rights for its official record keeping. Yeah, because those community organizations do such a good job of remaining unbiased and not trying to push an agenda, which is, here we go, wasn't provided at the press conference of the bill, but several progressive groups such as CARE Minnesota, here community organizations, CARE Minnesota. Anybody don't know about CARE? Yeah, you need to. Gender Justice, Out Front Minnesota, and others are behind the push. So I wonder who all's behind these organizations would be my curiosity. And if they don't have some kind of totalitarian communist socialist agenda. But anyway, so it says that they're trying to push this. This executive director of CARES Minnesota chapter slandered. Oh, then they come after this news place for reporting on it. Slandered Alpha News' Tuesday press conference and said a hate crime is not always clearly noticeable in the immediate action. Hate is being fueled today by the likes of clickbait news sites like Alpha News. So again, right here shows you the problem. They're talking about reporting things as hate crimes. They're talking about giving these reports over to community organizations. They list people like CARE and Gender Justice and Out Front Minnesota, and then they turn around and call a newspaper a site or a journalist. I don't know if these people probably do have a YouTube channel or something, but then accusing them of hate because they're reporting on it. Anybody see the problem there? So anybody can be accused of hate if you say something they don't like. Sorry, toughen up. Not everybody's gonna love you. So here we go. I'm gonna roll into this. 7 children, 21 missing teens from Iowa found in 9 different states by U.S. Marshals. Okay, so 29. Let's do the math here. 28 kids, because teens are still kids. So I don't understand why they said 7 children and then tried to divide it up with teens. Teens are still children. So 28 children from Iowa were found in 9 different states. They called it Operation Homecoming. And I'm going to try and hurry because I want to give Breaking enough time to do his stuff. So, and this is something I slung to Pam the other day when he was covering some of this stuff. This was an article done, and yes, by the New York Times. They do have a couple of decent journalists over there if they're not focusing all their attention on being hypocritical social justice warriors. But this was an article read back in 2019, and it brings up like the illicit massage parlors, live vast crime network and modern indentured servitude. It talks about them shipping these women over here from Asia. They're of course illegal immigrants, but they're sexually trafficked. Okay, they're humanly trafficked over here in America to work in these places for this basically a glorified pimp. And they have to work off how much money they try to say that they owe. They never get out, basically. They never get out. And if you wonder how some of these people get to this country, well, then I'll shut up and let Breaking get into what he was doing that he discovered yesterday.
Okay, well, without further ado, I suppose, let's get into an article that came out by the Mockingbird Media the other day, castigating the cast of characters now that have been assembled under Biden. Obama era officials return to White House worth millions. Obviously, this article is going to go into the various staff and cabinet members and whatnot who have managed to slightly enrich themselves, I guess, over the last 4 years while Trump was in office and, just come back to serve their country. And of course, as several Obama era officials return to the White House under President Joe Biden, a reunion comes with fuller pockets and deeper ties to corporate interests, newer financial disclosure reports show. According to the ABC News analysis of the most recent disclosure reports, many of Biden's top White House officials, including Chief of Staff Ron Klain, Domestic Policy Council Director Susan Rice, National Economic Council Director Brian Deese, and Coronavirus Response Coordinator Jeff Zients, have substantially multiplied their wealth over the past few years. And of course, this article is going to go through and break that down by each of the various parties. Rice, who we all love and admire. I say that facetiously, folks. We get into her, how much she has managed to fatten her pockets. Ron Klain, I've seen a lot of folks post in chat who perhaps Biden's real handler is. I don't know too much behind the scenes on him. Obviously, it's Biden's chief of staff at this point. And let's see, continuing on, talk about Zients. He's owning between 89.3, 442.8 million in assets. Yeah, just a small chunk of change. Nothing to see here, folks. And of course, then we get to Jen Psaki. Old Circleback. Let me throw old Circleback out in the old chat there. That's who we're talking about right there. Receiving a communication consulting fee from Zients in excess of $5,000. Though the report has no further details on the transaction, her assets have grown significantly since her first White House job during the Obama administration. In 2009, Psaki had reported between $32,000 and $130,000 in assets and $125K in income. But flash forward a few years to 2021, she reported her wealth had increased at least tenfold, up to $1.5 million in assets, with an annual income of roughly $647,000, some 42, etc. Very interesting. Not bad for a communications gig, right? Says much of her income from the past year came from Evergreen Consulting LLC, which she founded, and of course, the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace think tank. She also worked as a CNN contributor and an advisor to West Exec, a consulting firm founded in 2017 by current Secretary of State Antony Blinken, at which several Obama-era officials worked. Goofed around, community organized, whatever. In addition to the $5,000 Zients paid her, she was paid the same consulting fee by Lyft, among a handful of other companies. Thank you for your services, Jen Psaki. But keep that in mind, Evergreen Consulting LLC. Why is that important? Well, yesterday, interesting little article up in New York. We had a massive inferno rips through New York nursing home. A massive inferno ripped through a 200-person nursing home in New York early Tuesday morning, forcing residents to evacuate, reported NBC New York. Fire broke out at 0140 hours, 1:40 in the morning at Evergreen Court Home for Adults on Lafayette Street in Spring Valley. Say what? Evergreen Court Home for Adults on Lafayette Street in Spring Valley. Now, keep that in mind. That's strike two against Evergreen here in the last 2-3 days. Twitter user Mark Kennedy tweeted a video of the fire around 2:57 in the morning, said, "Never seen anything like this. Fire raging, building totally destroyed." And of course, it's interesting, they highlight Jewish media outlet Bilaz tweeted another video of the blaze showing what appears to be the entire facility engulfed in flames. But again, keep this in mind. We're talking the Evergreen Court Home for Adults on Lafayette Street in New York. I don't know where that is respective to, say, well, I'll just hold that comment here for the end. But then yesterday afternoon, we get this guy, which the headline has now changed a couple, 2-3 times since it came out yesterday afternoon. Original headline says megaship blocks all traffic in Suez Canal after running aground in bizarre incident. It was later updated this morning again to Suez traffic to resume as blocking ship partially moved. And of course, here's where we are at the moment. The latest update, oil soars as Suez Canal blockage continues. Megaship likely damaged. Traffic can't pass. So I'm actually going to jump down to the original article before coming back up through some of the updates here. And we'll circle back, Saki style, on some of the other stuff here. So as of yesterday, the original article, we'll jump clear down to here. It says, in what appears to be a freak accident, a Panama flag container ship called the Ever Given, owned by Evergreen Marine Corp, has run aground inside the Suez Canal. Evergreen, again, inside the Suez Canal, the critical artificially made shipping lane connecting the Red Sea with the Mediterranean. Known as a critical choke point for the global oil trade, the Suez has become blocked in both directions thanks to the peculiar angle of what's been described as a megaship. And it almost looks like this photo is fake just for how ridiculous it looks in that particular channel. I'm assuming it's probably legit, but nonetheless, Evergreen right down the side of the puppy, all sorts of containers and whatnot on there. Ship was traveling from a port in Egypt to Rotterdam in the Netherlands, one of the world's most active ports. It was due to arrive March 31st. And here's how you see the ship sitting cattywampus. Hold that thought. I'm going to come back to it. Ships are already stuck in the water. In addition to weighing almost 200,000 tons, here's more info on the ship courtesy of Reuters. And of course, there you can kind of see the channel and the bottleneck and all that good stuff. There's better maps above. But nonetheless, you get the idea from that point. Let's back up to the top again. Here we can see the close-up map a little bit better. The Ever Given is positioned somewhere right in there, that little choke point. And here you see a traffic jam to the bottom, traffic jam to the top, a little bit of a backlog going there. And here, if you scale out, you see where exactly the Suez is for the geographically challenged, I suppose. The canal's blockage has led to a gridlock of vessels on either side of the canal's entrances. Grounded Everclear chokes world's most vital shipping lane. And there you see a picture of a little bitty excavator. And I'm assuming that puppy probably is bigger than you probably think, maybe like a 330, 345 style excavator, 45 tons, something along those lines. But you just see how massive the container ship is. And again, there's a picture repeated. An official with the Gulf Agency Company in Egypt told Bloomberg no progress had been made in clearing the canal. The mishap's cause is due to the vessel's loss of steering amid high winds and a dust storm, the Suez Canal Authority said in a statement. Apparently wind and sand can blow a ship of that magnitude around 200,000 tons just willy-nilly in a canal. Seem legit to you? Anyway, continuing on back up through the updates, it's been updated 7 o'clock this morning, updated again about 7:39. Bloomberg reports the massive container ship blocking the Suez Canal has been dislodged from the bank of the canal and moved to the side, potentially easing disruption. Again, here highlighting the traffic jam where the Ever Given is located. And again, you can kind of see that a little bit more close up right there. And of course, apparently this must be satellite imagery in that right there. The bottom line, the vessel is likely damaged and will have to be towed, said Captain Farad Patel, a director at the Dubai-based Sharaf Shipping Agency. Well, what's interesting about that? Couple things. All right, so that's the third time we get a mention of Evergreen in about 24, 48 hours. Interesting. Well, what else do we know about Evergreen? Well, perhaps you'll recall in the days of Q, we find out, you do a little search on Evergreen, we got a couple posts. Define Evergreen, HRC USS code name. We remember that. It was mentioned back on 2/12/2020. And of course, that harkens back to April 26, 2018, when it was first mentioned. We have it all. The right people have the right information. Good people are acting on the information. Think Google, think Eric Schmidt departure, think North Korea, many drafts, et cetera, et cetera. Define Evergreen. When do you call a plumber? See a lot of folks highlighting that. Well, you would certainly call a plumber if by chance you were talking a clog and trying to dislodge said clog from a pipe, which one might consider that to be a choke point as we just described, right? So then let's head over to the marinetraffic.com. All right, so we find out a little bit of the particulars about this vessel, as it were. And of course, right now it's still saying its status stopped, stuck in the Suez Canal, latitude 30.0175832580225. Its precise geospatial location. But what's interesting about this, speed recorded max average 9.9 knots, etc. We get down here. Where's the ship? Container ship Evergreen, currently located at RFSEA Red Sea. There you see that again. And then we get down here. General vessel information, IMO, some numbers, name ever given, vessel type, generic, cargo, hazard, major, vessel type, detailed, container ship, status active, MMSI numbers, call sign H3RC. Wait, what? H3RC. Get rid of that 3, HRC. Wait a minute. Well, what did I just say about that map we wanted to look at? Well, hang on here. Let's scroll back down and take a look at that again. So here we are, Evergreen vessel, H3RC call sign, blocking the Suez Canal. And we get back down to this map. Well, that's interesting. Look at the ships that it's currently blocking. The ship was traveling from a port in Egypt to Rotterdam in the Netherlands, one of the world's most active ports, due to arrive March 31st. Here we got a ship called the Baraka 1 and Mosaid 2. Barak and Mossad is blocked by HRC, Kettywampus, and a choke point. Well, isn't that interesting? Well, yesterday, let's take a look at some of the deltas. And I already did some of the homework behind the scenes, so if you'll indulge me a minute here, 963 happens to be the, I believe it's a 3-year delta, if I'm recalling correctly as this comes up. This will take us all the way back to, bear with me as it comes up. There we go. Take us all the way back to March 23rd, 2018, 3 years ago. Clock activated. Red Castle, Green Castle, stage 5x5, yes. All right, well, that's interesting. Stage being set, maybe. Well, there's another interesting 3-year delta as well. I'll go to 3173. That just happened to be about a year ago. Anon says all of us have been antsy for the hammer to drop, but we will remember this time, the time before we knew the next big scene. This is historic. Calm before the storm. What happens when a blockade threat is dismantled and removed? You'll find out. Children used as shields, manufactured crimes of perjury, fire at will, Commander. Interesting. Evergreen. Who is Evergreen? H3RC? What was that piece you were just covering, Soko, just prior to that about U.S. Marshals rounding up what? Children? What is really in that container ship? I don't know. Nonetheless, an interesting piece I happened to catch over on Gab as well.
Well, before you that was another one of the big things is that the anons that dug on the container ships for the last several years, and this is not conspiracy. Container ships have been used to smuggle human trafficking. I mean, that's not conspiracy. That's been
right. But what I'm saying is, do we know what is exactly on those containers on said Evergreen ship at this point?
Oh, yeah, I get it. I'm just to kind of solidifying the theory. This again, this is the theory because we don't know until they look. But I just found all this interesting. Sorry, Coach. Continue.
So again, somebody had posted this, and I probably should put a graphic together kind of rounding all this out, but just haven't had time here because I did do a broadcast this morning. But nonetheless, somebody pointed us out. Yes, Evergreen, new Suez Canal, one of the largest shipping lanes on the planet, blocked with a mega container ship, creating a traffic jam of ships waiting in the Mediterranean Red Sea and in the canal itself. Blocked. We just got done talking about 3173 from a year ago, 1 year delta, talking about a blockade. Well, that's interesting. And of course, this one harkens back to just going to the Evergreen pieces net, which we just covered prior. So nothing really new there other than, yes, it is the U.S. Secret Service code name for a certain HRC at the time. When do you call a plumber when something's maybe blocked? Ongoing investigations require 1279. There we see the disclosed TV stuff again. So again, it's very, very interesting what has played out here. What does it all mean? How does this all tie together? I can't really say other than everything seems to link through HRC. What is happening here with this deal in New York? I don't know. I haven't had an opportunity yet to pull up a map and see just how far away Spring Valley, New York is versus, say, where, oh, you know, where a certain HRC WJC's humble abode is in Chippewa, New York. How far away exactly is that? Does it have any linkage to what's going on with Governor Cuomo? I don't know. Hard to say. Does it necessarily link through old communications director, if you will, Jen Psaki? In fact, she has Evergreen Consulting LLC. I don't know. I think it's very, very interesting that such a coincidence would arise. And what have we been told about coincidences? I don't believe in coincidences. So, is there more to the story? Probably. I have to see how this plays out. And again, folks, the thing you have to remember out of all this, oh, one more piece too, I suppose. The very interesting part that they called out that using military times, at what time they highlighted the fire broke out at and when they arrived and everything else. Oh, 140. Well, what's interesting about that too is QPost 963, 3-year Delta, also happens to be. Look at the timestamp on that. Came through at 1:14:06 in the afternoon on that particular day. There's the 14 right there. Huh. Interesting. And of course, I'm sure you can do some other partial decodes around that and everything else. But nonetheless, I think you kind of see where this is heading. Are we watching something play out in front of our eyes? I don't know. It's hard to say. We're going to have to keep an eye on it, use our discernment as always. But nonetheless, you know, sometimes, folks, as we see this stuff manifest, what I have noticed many a time, especially when it comes to these false flags and these ambitions that our Dems and that our evil ones would like to push forth. Sometimes the numbers tend to bleed over into the headlines and sometimes right into the articles themselves and whatever messaging, signaling, et cetera, that they would like to keep under wraps sometimes tend to bleed over into the stuff that we actually see. And it takes an attentive eye, I believe, to catch some of that sometimes. Is that one of those cases? Perhaps. But again, it's just interesting how things played out yesterday. And I tried to do a search on some evergreen headlines and that out of my sources and that I have behind the scenes here. Nothing really outlandish either. I think the only other semi-connected, disconnected, coincidental connection, if you even want to call it that, it'd be Evergreen State and the fact that there's been some hoopla and shenanigans going on at that particular college, and they've been kind of castigated as extremist Trump supporters. Evergreen State. Yeah, that happened here within the last couple of weeks.
Well, I was looking at in the chat, and A. Baker said that George Webb. What did it say? George Webb was insisting on focusing on Evergreen just this morning. So I was like, while you were talking, right? I do this sometimes, by the way, guys. That's why it's hard for me to like type in chat all the time. Number one, if I'm sharing, I can't see you. Number two, if y'all type something like that, I'll actually go try and find it. So then when they said that, I was like, is George Webb still on the thing? So this is the first thing I could find that he was in, right? Because usually people will link their like how to get to them. Was on, there's an episode, and I was like, all right, well, let's go down here. So I clicked on his VMO. I got this. Sorry, page does not exist. So then I was like, all right, well, let me try this. And it said his Google thing. So I clicked on that, and I got this. So I was like, okay. So then there was another one down here that looked different, right? The dresses look different. So I clicked on it and got this. And I was like, what the hell? So then it looks like he changed his YouTube to Biden's Belt and Road Show, right? Clicked on that. Got this. So I don't know if you're out there, A Baker, and know where he is or where he's broadcasting to. I mean, I would gladly go check it out, but it looks like they have removed him off even the links that they was posting about him 5 days ago, where to go find him. So
Well, and one more point I'll bring up to that aspect as well, highlighting the post in that the 1 to 3 year deltas net that manifest yesterday on March 23rd. Think of what's going on down at the border, right? What was stemmed at the inception of our intel behind the scenes? You remember the rat lines net were shut down, right? Shortly after the Vegas deal. At the same time, Trump did a very good job of trying to quell the tide of migrants being flooded via USAID, via Soros Open Society folks, the cartels, and that exploiting the folks to get them across the border. And think of what is playing out now, right? This is all manufactured. This is all by design, period, at the end of the day. Project Veritas down there the other day got some aerial footage and things of that nature, plus some inside. And it looks like literally burritos laying on a floor and all their silver wraps. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous what's going on down there. But all these folks are coming across undocumented. No documents for these kids. What happens to these kids that are undocumented? Where do you think they end up? You think the kids that come across in evergreen shipping containers have documents? Where do they go?
the problem is nobody knows because nobody keeps up with them, and then nobody talks about it. Nobody even talks about really about the missing kids that are American missing kids, that the massive number. I mean, think about this. We shut down an economy, and the economy because of the fear of people passing away. And right now, what's the number at? Over 200,000 or something. We got 400,000 kids every year that come up missing in America. And we don't shut down the country to go search for them. Kids.
Back in my day, I seem to recall they used to have the old milk carton campaign, right? It says, "Have you seen such and such a kid?" And they'd post a picture and give you an FBI number to call. What happened to those? Do they still even do that anymore, or is our society so far gone morally that we just don't give a shit about what happens to kids that get picked up by your local handlers and perhaps police, PDs, judges, whatever that may also be in on the take? And don't think for a second that those folks aren't part of the crime syndicate, folks. They absolutely are. It's just a matter of time before we roll them up. We just saw a judge up in Wisconsin here this past week get rickrolled, right? And this guy was running a drag show story time hour in a library up there. And in the meantime, he just had, just a little porn on his kiddie porn on his PC. This is a judge. Who are you going to be able to trust, folks?
Yeah. Well, again. So I'll just stop. Hey Baker, I'll check it out. That channel. I'll look at what you're talking about. But yeah, yeah, again, it is disturbing. I mean, it is disturbing because nobody talks about issues of people actually like I said, our kids coming up missing, and you would think that would be something everybody would want to be focused on, but the media doesn't cover it. The media never talks about it. I mean, look at the Amber Alert was a joke. You had Linda Salisbury running that dang thing, and she's the one that was trying to kidnap kids out of Haiti. The web is so thick and so big and so full of these people that care more about their bank account than they care about the society, the people in it. It's like they're willing to do anything. It is like they have legitimately sold their soul. And nothing, their morals are out the window. That's why you can see them flip flop so many times to say one thing one day and one thing another. Like we have the ability to play PragerU here, and Candace Owens did a really good debate with one of the Black Lives Matter leaders. Calls himself a leader in that movement, and I was watching that earlier today, and I think that I might even, because of my rant, if you will, on Sunday, actually come on here and just broadcast that with you guys and show you the double speak that a lot of these people will use. Well, they'll be outraged about one situation, but then say nothing about another one. tout Floyd up like he was some kind of a savior and survivor, even though this man had been in prison 9 times. He put a loaded gun to a pregnant woman's belly. But nobody cares about the little kids that are killed in Chicago almost on a daily basis because of gang violence. Nobody cares about those black lives. So it is like, if it felt legitimate, if it felt like you cared about people, not just focusing on the people that get you news coverage, but the innocent lives that are taken every day because of these inner city, disputes, then I think a lot more people would stand behind you. It's just like with Black Lives Matter, when they put out the thing on their website, and it was all focused on LGBTQ rights, and it was all, it was that they had admitted they were Marxists and breaking up the nuclear family and things like that. It's like, why would you focus on trying to tear apart something that is good for any race in this society, keeping families together and stuff like that? Why would you support tearing that down? Why does that have to be even written in your message unless you want to make people feel like you have nefarious intentions? Why even put that in there? Admit to it. I mean, I don't know. It's just, but it's there. And I think common sense people can see it. I think that's why you do see that a lot of people, after being on the fence about this last presidential election and say maybe they voted for Biden, you can see so many of them coming out now. Even freaking Sarah Silverman has come out on air and did a little video segment or whatever, saying that she didn't want to be involved in any part of the political aisle because of the hypocrisy. And it's like, you freaking think that I'm not going to sit here and bash her and say, well, too late, sister. I want to be like, it's about damn time. About daggum time. And the more people that you can, I don't know, hit them with some kind of shock value thing, maybe even about this missing kids, whatever it is, whatever pushes their button. And you can highlight to them, you think you're standing for a great cause. You think these are the people that care about you. You think that the government is split down the middle and one side cares and the other side doesn't. They all work for the same damn machine. They all will listen to a lobbyist. Like, that's what I'm sick about freaking Republicans. I'm so sick about Republicans that think that they can go on Twitter and say something that you want to hear, but don't do a damn thing. They go out and write another letter. Well, we wrote a letter. We wrote a letter to the accountability. So who gives a shit about your stupid letter? Like, why don't you actually go do something? A letter is not going to do anything. What, people will wipe their ass with it? Like, I don't know. And I think a lot of people, that's why the difference, I believe, a lot of the difference, but a lot of the difference with the left and the right is that even more conservative and constitutional liberals now, we're not living in some kind of dumb umbrella that we're like, nope, all Republicans are correct because he's a Republican. We're like, what? If he does something stupid, we're going to call it out. I don't want that person representing me for anything. I don't give a shit what's at the end of their name. D, R, LMNOP. I don't care. Like, do something with your position. All these Democrats seem to be able, when Trump was in office, to block his agenda and do every damn thing they could to shut him down. What, are you going to sit there on your hands and spare me? Well, we're going to abide by the law and we're not going to do things outlandish. Well, you better get onto the ball field, folks. You better put your ass out onto the ball field, because the more of our rights you see taken away because they don't want to, they want to remain professional. You're talking about people willing to throw Molotov cocktails in federal buildings, these democratic cities, for 3 freaking years. And then one instance happen in Washington, D.C., and you think it's the end of the freaking world. They're currently right now throwing firebombs into federal buildings in Portland, and nobody is saying a damn thing. Nobody is saying a damn thing. So please spare me your self-righteous Trump supporters. And that's another thing I had pulled up for today too, was that nobody talks about all these people that actually did a lot of digging onto that, like the guy that got apprehended that was being paid by these media outlets for his for his videos, for the things that he recorded that day. And he was that, and even BLM kicked the dude out because he was so radical. BLM kicked him out because he was radical. So, you know what I mean?
That's
It
saying
is what it
something.
is. Did Daddy forget what today was Wednesday?
I don't know. It doesn't look like he broadcast today.
Uh-oh. That's not good. Well, I mean, I can let me DM him real quick. You talk about something. How do you feel?
Well, I'll tell you this, switching gears up, if you missed the broadcast this morning, I did a show on my channel. If you missed it, I'll drop the link to where you guys can go get subscribed to the channels and so forth. And let's see here if I can find it. Where the hell did I put it? Bear with me here. This morning on the broadcast covered a little bit on COVID-19, as I have been walking through, for those who have been following, kind of breaking it down into the various aspects of it. Today talked a little bit about masks, and I did a little bit of a montage in that I'd say worldwide montage, and that over the last 3-4 months, talking exclusively about masks only. The previous broadcast on the channel talking about COVID was nothing but vaccines. So covered that. I think probably the next one that I'll cover is going to be regarding lockdowns, those strategies, how they have done more harm than good at the end of the day. But yeah, here this morning, spent about an hour and a half going through everything to do with the face masks and the actual science behind it, on how the masks do absolutely nothing for you. The stuff that the CDC is pushing, the TSA, all the various alphabet agencies kind of did a walkthrough on all that, all the various states, their goings back and forth, et cetera, et cetera. Same thing in the UK, same thing in Germany, same thing Czech Republic, you name it. But nonetheless, if you want to catch it, you can follow the links in what I just dropped there, and I'll get it up on my backup channels here probably within the next 24 hours.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go off then. Something happening just happened. I don't know if any of you guys saw the Naval Command Officer come out and make this announcement about inclusion and stuff like this. This is one of I guess, what do you call it? The graphs or whatever he showed, the images he showed. But if you'll notice here at the very bottom, what's disturbing about it, and I bet you a lot of people across the pond can relate. It says advocate the use of violence against our government and elected leaders. So, like, what is an extremist? This is what they're saying is an extremist. So they advocate use of violence against our government and elected leaders. How about, like, they didn't really mention anything that I heard of in that speech about protecting actually the citizens. There was a lot of rhetoric about protecting the government, elected leaders, but this isn't the flipping UK. These police departments and military branches, they're not put in those positions to protect the queen or the king. They're put there to protect the people. So I don't know what Biden's trying to do with getting all these people into these offices that are like, oh yeah.
It's really not in their best interest. And why do I say that? Well, you have to go back to 9/11, what came out of that, the legislation that was already pre-baked and ready to roll after that monstrosity of events took place back on 9/11/2001. Whether it was the NDAA or if you look at it from the Patriot Act side of things, one of the things that came out of that is that basically anybody that is on American soil is considered an enemy combatant. We're an enemy of the government, folks, period, at the end of the day. So I don't really care what they try and label at this point in time. We don't need somebody from the quote unquote government, those who masquerade as the government underneath the corporatocracy, to tell us who the extremists are. We know who they are. Your morals tell you who they are. You know the difference between right and wrong, period. If you don't, well, you might need to check your morals a little bit. But this Constitution is meant for a wholly moral people and none others. And if you believe in the Constitution and the true rule of law, the Constitution is the law of the land, then you know exactly who the quote unquote extremists are.
I'm going to show, if anybody forgot, or anybody doesn't know, there is the clause in the Constitution where it says a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Doesn't say anything about hunting, folks. Doesn't say anything about hunting. So what I too was going to show today, I had this pulled up, but it's crazy. And when we talk about this, that all the things I've seen on air again, and I think too Miami. I think Sonny bringing up Miami too. I looked into that after the show, and I know what she was talking about there. I actually went and watched Florida Marquis. He's from Florida, talking about what's happening with Miami's not college students. It's not the first time it's happened. It happens a lot more than people like to talk about. But I want you to imagine, and I had to steal this from Abba and Preach. So shout out to Abba and Preach. They're both in Canada. One of them is actually, I think he's from Ethiopia, I believe. Is it? Something, I don't know. Their families were immigrants to Canada. Anyway, they showed this clip of what happened to this black woman at a gas station, being surrounded by all these black men. And now you imagine if these people had been white. You imagine if the roles were reversed, and again, this was a bunch of women and this was a man. Nothing would be said to be laughed at. But this is pretty freaking disgusting. And I had to borrow it from them. I tried to went and find it on World Like Hip Hop. They actually put this on a YouTube channel, like it was funny or something. And so I'll have to skip around. You have to forgive me.
We're not gonna touch you. We're just gonna press. I think you came here for me.
We're applying pressure around this.
Oh, guys, what the are you doing, guys?
I like how they're like, don't touch her, and grinding their pelvis. Like, where are you trying to go? Where are you trying to go? It's like, bro,
This right here, it's terrifying.
I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I remember being 17 and then hanging out with a group of dudes, and they would like yell from people from like a car. And I'm like, what is y'all doing? I was so embarrassed every.
Okay. She tried to get away from him.
Hold it. She made it through. She broke through the barrier. Hold on.
Oh, great, of course, a commercial. Yeah, hey, somebody's monetized. Give a shout out to them, please.
It's some pressure being applied around here. It's some real pimping, though. Oh, don't act like she ain't never been called a before, huh?
You guys are degenerates. That's just whack.
They never be called her. They said something to her. But this, again, I'm just highlighting what's happens, and nobody says a word about this. They don't leave her alone. They just keep going and keep going and keep going. And she's just trying to get gas, by the way.
The thing that you have gained, that's game. Really?
That's what it is.
There is nothing to say.
I think I bring that up again to highlight the hypocrisy. If that had been a bunch of white dudes, yeah, we would never hear the end of it. If it was, and then let me flip that, I'll flip it again on you. If that was a bunch of women standing around a man, people would laugh at it and laugh it off and not say a daggum word about it. And if I was in today's society and I had a young boy and I had a son, whether it be little or teenage or, about to go into college, I don't know what I'd do. I'd be hammering home to that kid that he needs to be proud of, that he's a young man and how to conduct himself. But I cannot promise I would not be popping off every other day at someone that thinks it's okay out here in the news, in the media, and everywhere else to bully that kid because of the color of his skin. And then we want to talk about equal rights and human rights and civility. But again, I've gone after Twitter for it. I don't know if I can pull it up now, but I made a post about it the other day where, let me see. I don't usually do this, by the way, but I will show you. I'm not scared to tag these freaking people's names either. I will tag their damn name. And because this is after what happened in Atlanta and all we saw in the news about wait, and then come out and find out the Columbia dude was Muslim. So I said, so all the mainstream media tagged CNN, MSNBC, Washington Post, Huffington Post, too many to list. All the Senate Democrats, AOC, too many to count. we will see exactly how racist these people are. Putting whites to target white men, you have done for days. Basically putting white in their post. If they don't now post that this was a Muslim, then you know, like we have for 4 years, Twitter and Jack have allowed people to post the most racist things about white people with zero accountability. Now that whites have been targeted for days, will this man's Muslim race be just as important? Will anyone apologize? The only people, organizations, corporations, politicians, CEOs of social media, and etc., who has fanned the flames of hate, racial division, and harassment of a person's skin color are the same people still accusing Trump while they are the ones using the language of racism on air every day. And I mean that. Because guess what? Again, people look at me and you would assume if I'm going to use their same talking points, right? Use their same talking points. This person's just brown because they're brown. This person's just black because they're black. All this other stuff, right? Well, people look at me and assume that I'm white, quote unquote white. So should I go ahead and walk around with a shirt that says Irish and Native American on the front of it and the back of it say German Austria? The front will be for my mother's side, the back will be for my father's. Is that what we need to start doing in this today's society? Because when you look at someone and assume that they're white, does not mean that they're flipping white. Like in your version, English, UK, white, and that just think about how disgusting that is. To then tell now another country that has nothing but been our allies that you identify as white, you got English heritage. Well, so what? That does not attribute you being a bad freaking person. Anyway, I'm just kind of sick of it. I'm sick of the racial division and all these people so racist and think it's completely appropriate to go say broad brush stroke comments about white people and think there's nothing wrong with it. Absolutely nothing wrong with going on air and saying that white people have some kind of racist seed planted in them and it's just one day it has the potential to explode. And you think that that's not racist to say.
Well, there's a simple remedy for all of it. Cut your cable, get rid of the cable box, give a big FU to the clown news, MSDNC, the Mockingbird media, all of it that pushes this stuff. Put your kids out of the system so that they can't continue to indoctrinate with all this BS. Get your kids out of college. Same thing for the professors and idiots who push this crap. And if by chance your institution, organization, corporation, company, or whatever is mandated to push this stuff to employees, politely step out. Say, no, thank you. And if they force it upon you and say, well, it's mandatory, then you're going to have to make a decision at the end of the day, whether or not you're going to suck it up, continue to collect a paycheck from them, or if your ideology is not in alignment with that corporation at that point because they're quote unquote mandated to push it, then you might want to consider finding something else to do. All right. Well, we wait.
Does it not seem like to you though, and maybe people even out there in chat, does it not seem like to you that that's exactly, remember when we read some of those chapters in Chaos, the true story behind the Manson murders, that's exactly what they're trying to do, is make white people that never ever thought about being racist in their life, just wanted people let live and let live, and then they flood the news outlets and media outlets with all these black people going around and baiting up white people, with all these Antifa members that are like young 20-year-olds that never had to work for a damn thing, talking about how white people are horrible. That and like it's like fanning the flames of like they want to make white people not like black people, make black people not like white people, like what Tom McDonald said in his fake woke stuff. Like that's the agenda that they're pushing. And it's like you have to constantly remind yourself that this is propaganda from a media that wants a certain outcome. This is not reality. Yes, there might be 500, even say 1,000 people in these Democratic ran cities that you see burning stuff down and acting like damn idiots. But for the rest of us and the rest of the world, we just want equality. And that meaning equality. I don't care if you're black, brown, green, purple, red, white, blue. I don't give a shit. If you come to this country legally, then by all means, be here legally and don't let anyone bother you. I don't care if you're gay, lesbian, transgender. I don't give a shit. As long as you don't come tell me that I need to identify you as a freaking helicopter pilot or a purple bunny rabbit or a Zer. Like, don't expect me to jump over into that subject matter and act like everything's okay there when you have some seriously messed up freaking people pushing some messed up shit. I'm going to live in reality. If you want to live over in La La Land, as long as you don't want me to drag me over to La La Land, I don't care. But the minute you start telling me I need to come over to La La Land, we got problems.
Well,
So
again,
just,
I'll say this one more time, and then rather than beat the dead horse, I'll continue on
beat
with
it.
what's on the notables here today as we wait. Identity politics. They know nothing else. Their whole mantra is to divide and conquer, because it's easier to conquer people if they're divided, right? Divided you stand, or united we stand, divided we fall, or if we don't hang together, we'll all hang separately. A couple of the old mantras of old. That's exactly what they want. They want to be able to control. And unless you can break the conditioning, break yourself away from the propaganda, enlighten folks to the fact that they are being propagandized. Many people don't even have a freaking clue that the media has the ability to turn around and propagandize people through the airwaves today. They have no idea. That's why I do the PSA on my show, to highlight where the legislation was that fostered all this stuff, whether it be the NDAA 2013 and the language built upon that, the Smith-Mundt Revitalization Act that spun propaganda from being outward facing from the United States back around via Obama to here on this soil, and then further legislated by, I'm going to try and remember off the top of my head, House Resolution 2693 or 73 from the 2017 Congress, sponsored by none other than Adam Kinzinger, who was recently censured, supported by various Senate bills, 2692, something to that effect as well. I go through that and put it all in the PSAs for the simple purpose of telling folks, look, don't believe the crap that they're putting forth on the networks. For that very reason, it's propaganda, it's misinformation, it's disinformation, green screened crap. They don't do true journalism anymore. Period. It's all about spouting rhetoric and a narrative to get their end game. Period. How do we combat all that? Well, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, just like what you hear Daddy Dragon talk about, what I talk about with him over and over again. You have to believe that our rights come by the hand of God, one, and that all men are created equal as endowed by their creator. But what happens if you don't believe in a creator? Well, then you get the mess that we're in. We allowed the fox to overrun the hen house, didn't we? We didn't do our due diligence. We took a back seat. We got fat, dumb, and happy and says, okay, well, we'll allow you guys to do it. And here's what we got. Now we have to clean up the mess. And not only is the mess bad, but it's so bad that I think the likelihood of any of us trying to ever get elected into those positions is going to be pretty damn small, unless we kick out the whole damn Dominion voting system, Smartmatic voting systems, ESS, you name it, systems off the land, period. That's the only way. You're not going to do it now, especially after what was revealed from the election in November 2020. They'll manipulate it. We know that. We saw it. We witnessed it. I don't give a damn how much they try to gaslight us, how much they say unfounded, whatever, through the Mockingbird media, through the institutions, through the government, any of it. Gaslighting, folks. Know what the term gaslighting means. Go back, learn it, understand it. Another tactic that the Mockingbird media uses day in, day out to keep you in the dark.
And I think what they don't understand is that it will always come back to bite them on the ass. They think that it's okay and all fun and games when they see something that they support happening, like a certain person they don't like being gone after. But it's hard, and history is tried to tell these people, if they would pay attention, you never can turn off the sieve once the floodgates have been turned on unless you put your foot down. And you know what I mean? Like they're seeing the effects of pushing an agenda that doesn't see any reason to stop, because they're still going on air trying to talk about race and division and not being honest about even what's going on at the border. Look what's happening at the border. These same media outlets railed and complained and acted like Trump was the most inhumane Nazi person in the world because of what happened at the border. Now we've got a situation where Biden, where it's 3 times as worse. Some of the numbers are up over 700%, by the way. And he won't even allow the media to go down. Allow the media. What's that sound like, Descapo? That sounds like, China won't allow the media. Remember where was AOC when she was crying down there at the wall, acting like the world was over? And now we got all these kids, and they're talking about pandemic. They're up there asshole to elbow laying next to each other. But now we don't have an issue with no social distancing. With that lady, the speaker, the circle back around lady lied. Oh, we're following all the guidelines. Like, just what do you think, people? They're going to be your sheeple, okay, that are like, whatever they said, what they said. But you're going to have the majority of people, and even yes on the left, that are like, hey, hang on a minute. Now, wait a minute. Well, wait a minute. Why are they? Yeah, this doesn't make any sense. This is, they're going to, you're going to have them going, yeah, this is hypocrisy. If you care about these kids, then actually act like you care about them. Don't pick and choose. One day you do, and the next day you don't, just because whoever's in charge.
Politically inconvenient. All right. Well, speaking of Psaki backing around, CDC ignores increasing number of deaths, injuries reported after COVID vaccines. Well, color me shocked on that one. Of course, the CDC is going to toe the line. They've lied about everything else. Why should we start to believe them any more so now than any other day at this point? Advanced Intel's cyber intelligence platform Andariel reported that the Revil ransomware gang attempted to exploit Acer's Microsoft Exchange server. So, folks, in case you hadn't been paying attention, if you remember back around November, December timeframe, we not only had the SolarWinds hack, but it was also exposed that the Microsoft Exchange stuff was also hacked. And of course, that was led to believe China. And of course, there's still some fallout effects of that going on. Also, German researchers then erase false memories in people's minds. I think that's along the lines of what you just got done reading out of RT today. QAnon claims stuck Suez Canal ship used by Hillary Clinton to traffic children. Well, I would not be surprised. Perhaps there's more sauce to that, as I laid it out with what I found here just in recent days. Perhaps all these are markers and signals and that hopefully we're picking up the breadcrumbs and putting them together into a nice little puzzle net for us to figure out. Senior U.S. official acknowledges Washington has spent $143 billion to destroy its own government in Afghanistan. Well, what do you expect? It's the never-ending wars. It's just a pit hole for the military-industrial complex. I can hear that sucking sound, as a certain somebody who ran for office once upon a time back in the 90s used to say. Pompeo in Austin, Texas today. That's interesting. I'll be looking for his remarks a little bit later on via some articles.
Yeah, guess who still hasn't gone to Texas? Neither one of those two. If it was Trump, second day, he's an abomination.
He's been down there. He was down to Houston.
Oh my, yeah, because Houston's right on that border.
He hasn't been to the border. No, he was down there for the Texas energy crisis net they had after the cold weather snap and all that stuff took place, albeit about a week late. But yeah, Biden and Psaki and.
Did you see what Kamala Harris tweeted out apparently like 2 days ago? Was it yes? May have been yesterday or the day before. She tweeted out, "Hello, Florida. Something to the basically I'm here to save you. Help has arrived." I think's what it was. Florida, help has arrived. Like Kamala Harris is what Florida needs, while people down there in Texas are watching their cities be overran. And ICE just releasing people out into the general population. But Kamala Harris arrived in Florida to save the day.
Well, thank God for that. Our purple one, right? Let's see. Biden cabal under pressure because of cyber attacks. Well, he's already put it out there that Putin should be expecting something based on the false premise of the SolarWinds hack being supposedly attributed to Russia. A transgender high school swimmer who was barred from using the boys' locker room after he transitioned is rewarded $300,000 in damages. Nice money, a little making scheme they got going on there, I suppose. Talladega Nights actor Houston Tumlin dead at 28. I don't remember which one he was in that show.
Again, remember, these are the same people that are yelling about safe spaces, are the same people now thinking that people should be awarded hundreds of thousands of dollars because other people in that area don't feel safe when that person's in. I mean, it's just, again, the hypocrisy knows no bounds here.
Yep. Taxpayers to spend $392.69 per person per night on hotels for illegal border crossers. But in the meantime, our vets continue to suffer. Seems like we live in bizarro, upside down, backwardation world here.
Yeah, not just our vets, our active members that are sitting there protecting Biden's old goofy ass. They're sitting there eating raw hamburgers and sleeping on the floor. God bless America.
Francis D. Sheldon was a millionaire philanthropist who owned an island that trafficked kids like Epstein, and you can't find this information anywhere. If you were with me on Saturday night, I did a bit of an update in regards to the goings on with Epstein and Maxwell's case here as of late. And by the way, I'll put this out here right now. Hashtag Doug Band didn't kill himself, because obviously now that this guy has flipped, a longtime Clinton confidant, let's just say we probably should be on the lookout for a certain Arkansas event. Let's see, Biden signed sweeping new law allowing VA to vaccinate all veteran spouses. Lovely. Dubai deputy ruler Sheikh Hamdan dies. All right. Iran requests new talks with U.S. over troop withdrawal. Well, maybe we're going to draw down and the never-ending wars over there. I don't know. We'll see. Here we go with Evergreen again. Nursing home fire, nursing home name, Evergreen. Yep, pretty well covered that already. Washington Post lies about Sidney Powell and her voter fraud court claims. Yeah, did you happen to catch that?
No. What happened?
Well, apparently the Compost and various other outlets have put out there that she has since apologized to Dominion and is recanting her statements. And I think I saw somebody grab her post off of Telegram and dump it onto Gab, say, nope, nothing's changed. Mockingbird Media is lying as usual. So basically,
it goes with that agenda. They'll put out a tweet that'll get 100,000 retweets with the lie, and then they'll come out 3 or 4 hours later at 11 o'clock at night with a retraction that gets seen 100 times. I mean, that's just how that's the game. That's the game they play.
Yep. So anyway, more to the story there. I believe at this point we probably all await Sidney Powell, probably Giuliani, as well as Mike Lindell to unleash the Kraken on Dominion. And let's let her rip, Tater Chip. Let's see. Canada slaps sanctions on 9 Russian officials over Navalny. And again, here's yet another false narrative that was pushed. Navalny, opposition leader, if you will, or opposition front to Putin. And of course, they tried to drum up a similar case to the Skripals, and that in the UK being quote unquote poisoned and never was. Got a free bed and breakfast trip for about a month over to Germany, sent back, immediately arrested, jailed 30 days, all that good stuff. And of course, yeah, we got to play up that narrative even more so because Russia's bad. Nobody's coming after your guns, says Kamala Harris, who campaigned on coming after guns. Yeah, there's that. Stockanon gives info on GME, GameStop. All right, yeah, GameStop here, obviously still floating through the old financial networks here, getting bid up by the old Wall Street Redditors and Wall Street bet guys on Reddit, I should say, to date. Dem abortion-loving Virginia governor signs law abolishing the death penalty, a first in the South. So I guess anybody who traffics children, does bad things of that nature, well, he just gave you a nice little gift, didn't he? Utah governor signs bill to require cell phones and tablets to automatically block porn, but there's a catch. I did manage to catch an article similar to that over on Zero Hedge today. Good move, bad move. I don't know. At the end of the day, free speech, whatever. I see Gab founder Andrew Torba talk about this regularly. Is it protected? Is it not protected? There's a debate about that at the end of the day, but obviously you can kind of see the moral rot that is taking place in this country. Is it all pointed back to porn? I can't necessarily say that, but it's all certainly part of the moral decay of society. Just in, Biden taps VP Kamala Harris to oversee U.S.-Mexico border crisis. Well, did we honestly think that Biden was doing anything to begin with other than signing pieces of paper? Please. Entering Knesset, far righters want to legalize outposts, fight LGBT agenda. All right. The Scan the Ballots effort is moving forward in Georgia, involving Jovan Pulitzer's technique of forensically reviewing ballots from the 2020 election. And yes, folks, despite the Mockingbird media saying no evidence, unfounded, and every other buzzword that they all latch onto, there are efforts still ongoing. You're still seeing stuff take place in Maricopa County out in Arizona where the fraud is rampant, and you saw all sorts of BS shenanigans take place over the last couple months. You're still seeing stuff take place up in Antrim County, up in Michigan, and yes, even Fulton County down in Georgia. Oakland launches guaranteed pay plan for low-income people of color. I see how that works. And of course, kind of goes in tow with, I think, what was it? Evanston here in Illinois was the first city or whatever to start issuing reparations and all that good stuff. Yeah, we'll see how well that works out.
Again, making income race-based. They don't think there's any poor white people in the world, in the country?
No, racism only works one way. The Asian racism narrative continues, fueled by massive China influence, because again, divide and conquer, folks. We got to drum that up. All Asians now bad as well. You just can't make this up. Democrats argue removing dead people from voter rolls is voter suppression. Nope. Remember, Judicial Watch prior to the election was going after various voting rolls in California and several other states. Oh, you guys can't do that. That's a no-no. That's voter suppression. Dead people vote, folks. Just ask Chicago. Senate Democrat comes out against his own party's gun control legislation, mentions lying to his constituents. I'll have to follow up on that story. Handlers in control of cabal puppet Biden. Well, yeah, obviously he doesn't have the mental capacity to pull his pants up day in and day out, let alone try and run a country per se. Oil soars as Suez Canal blockage continues. Megaship likely damaged. Traffic can't pass. That's the latest headline update via Zero Hedge there as well. Judicial Watch lawsuit, 2,400 illegal alien criminals released under San Francisco Sheriff Office sanctuary policy. Basically human trafficking. Kamala Harris to hold discussion with rapist Bill Clinton on empowering women and girls, igniting criticism. Oh, isn't that enlightening? Ex-CNN producer calls for network to step in and stop Denleman's dangerous rhetoric. People still watched clown news. Why? Disgraced ex-VP Pence tweets about the election, and the comments are hysterical. Oh, I can imagine. Jim responds to Krispy Kreme by offering free memberships to people who refuse COVID vaccine. Well, that's good news, because obviously the dipshitiots over at Krispy Kreme apparently don't know any better and are too stupid to realize that, hey, there's this little thing called comorbidities that people are dying from, aside from COVID, that was put on everybody's death certificates, which wasn't so. But yes, folks, there is an obesity epidemic, if you will, unproclaimed epidemic in this country. Of course, it's fueled by junk food and everything else in this country. So, hey, Krispy Kreme, just keep doing what you're doing. Then we got Huffington Post taps Daniel Belton as new editor-in-chief after a year-long vacancy. Well, Huffington Post, regardless of whether or not Ariana Huffington is still there or not, you're still a crappy outlet. FBI roasted over Boulder shooting after reports suggest suspect Alyssa was known to intelligence officials. Of course, Yeah, you didn't expect the FBI to actually stop something that they were planning on allowing to take place in the first place now, did you? How much do you want to bet that this particular guy was probably an FBI informant?
Yeah,
Wait for it. Wait for it.
I'm gonna push about to just highlight two, and then I'm gonna bounce out. Sonny's here. I'm gonna show you one. This is one of the clauses in this bill that they're trying to push about that new H. What is it? R127.
HR1.
If you look down here at D, as part of psychological evaluation, the licensed psychologist can interview any spouse of the individual, any former spouse. There's your exes. You know, you want them talking about you because that's always going to go well, of the individual, and at least two other persons who are a member of the family of or an associate of an associate. Then, so who's making those determinations? Who's the associate? The individual will further determine the state of the mental, emotional, relationship stability of the individual relationship to firearms. So they want to be able to talk to your ex-spouses. I got one more thing and then I'm done. Gonna make sure my audio's on. Listen, I'm gonna warn you. I don't know if I'm gonna share the audio. I might mute it down. This is talking about hypocrisy. Okay, I'm talking about YouTube hypocrisy. Warning. By the way, on YouTube, this is monetized. This is not age restricted. This is on YouTube. And a Crowder pointed this out because YouTube demonetized him and put an age restriction on him. So this is a video he blurred out the name of that I'm going to mute up, and this is on YouTube monetized because this is what everybody wants to see. I'm going to get to this portion right here, and I'm going to play you a little bit of it so you can see it. So this is what we're talking about, hypocrisy. What do you think's going on in this picture? There's a sheet put up. There's a dude standing behind him. These people are gay. What do you think's going on? I can tell you what's going on. Sex on camera behind the screen. That's what's happening.
Okay, so this is cute.
Yeah, so this is what's there, and they're just going to educate you on it that it's not a sex object, a vibrator, whatever. It's actually his sexual organ going into his butthole, and they're monetized on YouTube. So please, spare me your hypocrisy. That goes to your point of what they're putting, the agenda they're pushing on these media outlets. What's acceptable, blah, blah, blah. It's okay to sexualize your children, but it's not okay to tell them the facts. By the way, one last thing, and I'll shut up, is this is also something that they sent to him. This is where YouTube gave him a community guideline strike, and they said YouTube does not allow content that spreads medical information that contradicts the World Health Organization. The World Health Organization. That's the bastion of truth now. The World Health, the same people that won't say Taiwan, what is it? Thailand. Don't know. Is it Thailand? Am I saying that right? Breaking.
I don't recall.
They had that whole big thing where that lady was on with the WHO guy. He shut up. They discontinued the call. Grief. I think it is Thailand. Okay, anyway. So he wouldn't say it. Then all the times they covered up for China, then when they went out with the talking points, they wouldn't even launch their own investigation of what happened with Corona, all this other shit. Guys, people's reputations should follow them. If they've lied to us once, they've lied to us 4 or 5 times, they've covered up shit for a communist regime, then maybe we shouldn't be looking at them as the bastion of truth. Just like Fauci shouldn't be babysitting your dog, much less giving everybody all these rules about what they should be following over here in America. The guy he had research during the late 80s when the HIV crisis epidemic was everywhere, and he could have saved thousands of lives, and he hid it. He hid it because he wanted to roll it out. When he wanted to roll it out, and he wanted to patent the vaccine, all this, that man cares about money. He does not care about lives. And with that, I'm going to go and hello, Sonny. She's muted.
Hello.
I'm sorry. I thought I could make a quick run to get a cough drop.
Oh, it's okay. Well, welcome aboard. I think Daddy must have passed out or something because normally he'll send me a message, and I didn't hear anything from him today, but I know he wasn't feeling well. So we all have those days, but it's all good.
It also says on YouTube, EP70, English Patriot 70 on YouTube, got another strike. Sorry for delay.
I think Daddy's been off of YouTube for some time. I think he's pretty well done there. So about the only place you can find him is probably on Foxhole. And
no, he started a YouTube channel. He's got
did he start another one again?
Yeah, that's what she's talking about. English page. That's what she's talking about. Is Daddy's.
Okay.
So did it get knocked off and he tried to get on Foxhole and maybe there was tech issues?
I don't know. All
I
I
don't
see
know
is
why
a
they'd stop him
broadcast
from
from
coming
yesterday.
here.
Well,
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think it would have stopped him from jumping over here. I would think something's
Okay.
probably he's not feeling good. Or I don't know though. I don't like to speculate when it comes to my folks. I'll wait till he talks to me and then I'll know what happened or whatever because I don't know.
Okay.
Taiwan, thank you, Stony Jaws. Right, Taiwan. I was like, I was drawing a blank. All right, guys, I'm gonna get out of here.
sounds good. I agree. The floor
Bye,
is
guys. Have a
yours,
good one,
Sunny
Sonny.
Days.
Okay. All right. Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers. Hello, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and grab the screen and let me see what's going on with my screens. All right. Gonna optimize and share my sound. All right, here we go. I have lots of clips today. I have a few stories I wanted to read, but mostly I have clips. So I'm going to go ahead and read my few stories. You know what? I think, yeah, I'm gonna skip that today. Okay. So I have the story out of National File, and I found it kind of humorous, although I don't think the whole subject is funny about, them trying to take our guns and going after 2A. But I thought this was interesting. So this is on a National File by Gabriel Keene, and it's Florida man sells homemade 1776 boomsticks at gun buyback. City runs out of cash in 30 minutes. Anti-gun buyback event in Pensacola, Florida does not go according to plan. A so-called gun buyback event in Pensacola, Florida did not go according to plan over the weekend as a local gun club showed up to counteroffer the city by paying actual market value for citizens' firearms. The only weapons the buyback was able to acquire included BB guns and homemade boomsticks 1776 pipe guns, which forced the event to run out of cash in under 30 minutes. I'm just peeking at the YouTube chat because now I'm trying to monitor that a little bit more closely because if I mute it, I don't always notice right away. But hello, everyone. Glad you're here. Thanks for joining 5 by 5. Okay, so back to this article. Members of the local Second Amendment advocacy group, Escambia Carry, showed up to the event with a sign that read, "Don't get ripped off by the city with this stupid gun buyback program. See me to get a fair market value for your firearm." Other than these rifles, the vast majority were junk, Escambia Carry's Jeremy Basso said in a Facebook post. Numerous people told us they sold their old junk guns to buy new firearms. Someone sold a Marine emergency flare gun, and other attendees had air pistols, BB pellet guns. The city ran out of money by 9:27 a.m., less than 30 minutes into the event. So this is a post. A couple fellows picked up a couple rifles from people attending the buyback. Mike Bates is holding the sign. Chris Smith of Gulf Coast Guns and Outdoors is on the right. Other than these rifles, the vast majority were junk. Numerous people told us they sold their junk guns to buy new firearms. So one man showed with 3 homemade boomstick 1776 pipe shotguns, which were sold to police after he demonstrated that they were operable. A member of the anti-gun rights Bloomberg-funded group Moms Demand Action showed up to this event with a BB pistol, but was unable to sell the toy. Police did, however, purchase a boat flare gun. The Biden's administration unconstitutional stance on gun rights has caused a spike in gun sale and Second Amendment awareness within its first few months. Many gun owners were alarmed by the confirmation of anti-Second Amendment activist Judge Merrick Garland's to the position of Attorney General in March. As National File reported, Garland's history of trying to restrict gun rights reaches back decades. So I found that humorous. I thought that was kind of funny. And for those of you that are English and are here, I'm going to jump to this bookmark. Sorry, it's kind of buried now, but there was this story, probably get you dizzy, but I thought perhaps the English would like this if you hadn't seen it yet. So I usually go ahead and I collect Twitter clips throughout the weeks and then try to see which ones I can use. Some of them I don't like to use because with having YouTube, we got to be careful with the music. DLive seems to be much more forgiving about playing music that may be commercial. But I'm sorry if I'm making you dizzy. I'm trying to get to it. I wish there was a way I could do my bookmarks in order. But there was this English clip where they were singing a song, and I thought you might enjoy it. The English might enjoy it. And I thought I'd play it right away because I know some of you have to go because it's getting later. Here it is.
You can still order up your ass. You can stick your order up your ass. You can stick your order where some don't show. I said the queen will be arrested in a dressing gown. Queen will be arrested in a dressing gown. The queen will be arrested in a, she is such a sinner. She'll be arrested in a dressing gown. Those guys wearing chemtrails and their evil pantels. These guys wearing chemtrails are around. You can stick your coronavirus up your ass. You can stick your coronavirus up your ass. You can stick your coronavirus. It'll make a coronavirus. You can stick your.
I hope you liked that. That was for you, the English. You guys did a great job with the rallies and the protests. I did have one clip of that. And it says, it was an army. I was there and astonished at the numbers. They were trying to say that there were some people or, many people, but the videos I was seeing was an awesome turnout. I'm muted. Did you hear any of that? I'm sorry. Oh my goodness, darn it. All right. I was just saying that Soko touched on this waltz story I had, and this Breitbart one is about children's book celebrates how Dr. Fauci became America's doctor. And I was just saying, he's not my doctor. This is by David NG out of Breitbart. Simon and Schuster, which if you look into Simon and Schuster, they're pretty lefty, is publishing a new children's book that will celebrate the life of Dr. Anthony Fauci by chronicling his Brooklyn upbringing and tracing his middle career to become America's doctor. So the propaganda is in full swing, and Simon and Schuster is trying to take over. It appears like they're trying to take over the publishing industry as much as they can. I believe that some of those companies are maybe under them. So, yeah. And then on News Busters, this was a story. Facebook VP brags platform deleted over 12 million COVID and vaccine posts. We really have to go to other places, alt platforms, to find out anything that is goes against their narrative. But that makes me think, how badly they want to not let us hear the other side or hear the truth or hear an alternate story about COVID. This was interesting. I believe this has been reported on before, but The Guardian had the global shortage in computer chips reaches crisis point. Consumer price rises loom while dearth of semiconductors slow production from Samsung to Ford. Consumers are facing price rises and shortages of products from TVs and mobile phones to cars and game consoles as a global shortage in semiconductors grow. The shortage in chips, the brain within every electronic device in the world, has been steadily worsening since last year. Initially, the problem was only a temporary delay in supplies as factories shut down with the coronavirus pandemic first hit. However, although production is back to normal, a new surge in demand driven by changing habits fueled by the pandemic means that it is now reaching crisis point. Car manufacturers investing in tech-heavy electric vehicles, the boom in sales of TVs and home computers and launch of new game consoles and 5G-enabled mobile phones have all driven demand. Even the mighty Apple, a $2 trillion company and the world's biggest buyer of semiconductors, spends $58 billion annually, was forced to delay the launch of the much hyped iPhone 12 by 2 months last year due to the shortage. Chips are everything, says Neil Campling, media and tech analyst at Mirabad. There is a perfect storm of supply and demand factors going on here, but basically there is a new level of demand that can't be kept up with. Everyone is in crisis and it's getting worse. So yeah, there's that. And then I pulled this today, this is out of Revolver. Dark new Dem bill uses counter American intelligence to wage war on MAGA. So this is a little bit about QAnon, I guess. I want to be careful with that too. So, all right. Angry slingshots from right-wing Twitter eventually got the term reinstated on Urban Dictionary, but there's obviously no chance in heck in getting global hegemon Google to budge. Oh, that was that Blue Anon term. The pattern is simple. The full apparatus of global American empire mobilizes on behalf of those who believe and promote discredited conspiracies like the Russia Gate hoax, the Jussie Smollett hoax, the Covington hoax, and so forth. On the other hand, the full apparatus of the global American empire mobilizes against those who believe and promote the 17th letter phenomenon. In other words, the regime codifies and sacralizes ruling party conspiracy theories while it pathologizes and criminalizes ruled party conspiracy theories, all as a means of controlling the narrative in our so-called democracy. So, okay. That's not what really I thought it was about. Let's see. How about Moms for Liberty group leader receives anonymous envelope containing feces? This was out of Breitbart. By Kyle Olson. The leader of a new parental rights groups in school said she received an anonymous envelope containing feces last week. And actually what I found interesting about this is Tina Deskovich, founder of Moms for Liberty and a former Florida school board member, told Florida Today the envelope was sent from Pennsylvania and spelled her name Dekovich. She posted a photo of the livery on Facebook. But what I do find interesting is that, you know, we hear all the bad stuff, but we don't hear a lot of good stuff because it gets squashed in the news. But to me, this is not the envelope full of poo, obviously, but that this Moms for Liberty group intends to shift power in schools back towards parents. We feel like conservatives have neglected education for decades, and that is why we are seeing the problems we're seeing today in America. The one thing we've learned in our time on the school board is they don't have any power, and they don't realize that until they have a problem, she said. So the balance of power is so far off. The people in the community and the parents are supposed to be driving public education, yet the power right now is held by teachers' unions, and we're seeing that nationally under a bright light right now, and that is certainly true, I think. I did see this out of Express UK. It's not coming up. Weird. Or it's just taking a long time. Well, it's not coming up, but it said holidays, illegal fine, new COVID laws over sees travel Monday. So I don't know why that's blank and not coming up. Maybe they removed it. So then this was out of Breitbart. Civics Alliance seeks to block radical activists K through 12 curriculum. A coalition of American scholars, policymakers, and concerned citizens has acted to promote traditional civics curricula in K through 12 schools in the face of what appears to be a takeover by Action Civics activists seeking to use their programs to promote left-wing causes. The National Association of Scholars is leading the coalition dedicated to defending and restoring true civics education across the United States, said Peter Wood, the organization's president. And again, this is to me good news. They're trying to hold the line. They're trying to push back. Wood said the coalition hopes to preserve a civics education that teaches about American founding principles and documents, key events in United States history, how government works at all levels, and the spirit of liberty and tolerance that should animate our private interactions with our fellow citizens. So I found that to be good. And let's see, I think I'm going to go jump over to my video clips. And let's do this. And go here in my bookmarks. So I have found this interesting. This is a gal, Sally, I follow, and reports of people getting sick after being around recently vaccinated friends or loved ones. People are getting ill. And supposedly, you know, I've heard friends say, well, the doctor said, yes, you could get it after you get the vaccination. But it sounds like a lot of people are getting it after they get the vaccination. So anyway, let's see. I don't know if anybody's played this video, but this Red Jeff tweeted out, this is crimes against humanity, 1,400 apiece, and double dipping plus planes, they will come, yet not a single politician who closed your business, destroyed your livelihood, lost their job, income, or taxpayer-funded health care. And we can see what this is. It's so yep, they're picking them up on one side of the riverbank, and they're taking them across and giving them a ride, and it sounds like they pay for that. So, and this was also from Alan West. It was posted by Alan West too. Okay, so Jack Pasibic tweeted out, wanted to see the emails. J.R. Psaki, I can arrange it. Biden's press secretary ludicrously claims that she's not familiar with the Senate report detailing a $3.5 million payment from the mayor of Moscow's wife to Hunter Biden.
Okay. So there was a report last year from the Senate Finance and Homeland Security Committees. It claimed that the wife of Moscow's former a company associated with the president's son, $3.5 million. There was no explanation for this alleged payments, and I'm wondering if you could tell us if that claim is accurate, and if so, what the $3.5 million was paid.
I'll have to stop it here because it's commercialized.
Not familiar with that claim. Doesn't sound like it's backed up by a lot of evidence. If you have evidence or specifics, happy to discuss it further.
Committee's report. So you haven't asked about this, or?
I'm not familiar with the report at all.
Huh, not familiar with that report at all. Isn't that interesting? And then the Babylon Bee, I feel like we're living in a Babylon Bee world. So this is the Babylon Bee, so it's satire, but sadly, newborn thrown out of hospital nursery for refusing to wear a mask. That was the article's name. And again, the Babylon Bee, neighbors with Black Lives Matter, Asian Lives Matter, Hispanic Lives Matter, yard signs getting awfully close to All Lives Matter. Again, that's satire out of the Babylon Bee. And then Jenna Ellis tweeted out, White House orders all agencies to start saying Biden-Harris administration, and Jenna Ellis thinks that's weird. No, from now on, I'll just kind of go down on these tweets, videos that I pulled.
I'm going to say my to bed because I'm bothered. People are so fake. There have been plenty of crimes against Asian Americans just this year, that the media really hasn't reported on, but they jumped on what happened in Atlanta, all because the dude was white. They couldn't wait to scream white supremacy, that these attacks against Asian Americans, it's white supremacy. The vast majority of the previous attacks against Asian Americans have been by black men. And this is why I'm bothered. Number one, people's refusal to hold black men accountable for their actions. Don't look me in my face and tell me you care about black lives, yet you won't hold a black man accountable for his actions. To correct someone is to love them, and if you don't correct someone, you don't love them. You just want to use them. Second thing that bothers me, these fake woke people using Asian Americans to make themselves look good. Asian lives don't matter. Asian lives are useful. They're the flavor of the week. Don't fall for it. People who put down white people to lift up minorities, they don't care about you. They just want to borrow you.
I thought her words were really to the point, and I enjoyed listening to her perspective. And that's why I like to play a lot of these videos. Well, some of them I like to play for humor. Some of the animal videos I like to play because it gives me a smile and makes me laugh and try to uplifts my heart. And then others, I just really like to hear other people's opinions. So here we go.
To go, just most presidents, ex-presidents like yourself, do not weigh in at this level. Why did you feel like you needed to on this issue?
Well, you called me. I didn't call you, in all fairness, but...
I love Harris's face. And then it was funny because Cat Turd appeared in that one. What a boss. And yeah, so this was, well, that one has swearing in it. I'm not, kind of early. I don't never know if I should do the swearing or not, but this is Scott Pressler.
Scott Pressler. I'm the son of a retired Navy captain. I am that long-haired Eagle Scout, and I was awarded the Ronald Reagan Award at CPAC this year in 2021. But what you don't know is my story. I graduated from George Mason University with a 3.63. Couldn't find a job, so I started walking dogs for a living. There's no shame in a hard day's work and an honest day's labor. I went on to work at an elementary school. Then my first ever political job was helping to elect Governor Greg Abbott in the great state of Texas. I spent 2 years of my life working to defeat Hillary Clinton, an accomplishment I'm very proud of. And I've spent the last 4 years of my life traveling the country, registering voters, and picking up trash in America's most dangerous and dirtiest cities. You see, President Trump inspired me. He discussed the city of Baltimore, and I was actually really disappointed because I saw that everybody was quick to blame, quick to scapegoat, quick to point the finger, but nobody was doing anything. And so we organized a cleanup, and in one day we picked up 12 tons of trash in 12 hours on the streets of West Baltimore. And the reason why I share this story with you is I want you to understand, I'm one person, but in a society that is so quick to ask, who will? I dared to do something extraordinary by saying, I will. And I want you to understand that you are so powerful and that you may be that dog walker being awarded on the stage of CPAC simply because you dared to say, I will, and to take a chance and to do something. And so I encourage you to make your motto in life, stop talking, start doing. And I want to thank you for joining me in this journey. I am committed to conservatism. I am committed to the cause of freedom and liberty. And I promise you, I will work every single day going into 2022 and to 2024 to make sure that we are hiring America First politicians. Thank you for listening.
Wow, that's pretty cool. I find him very inspiring, and I think he walks the walk when talks the talk. So this is Proud American Woman who does these short clips on Twitter.
Had a really long night. My oldest son, was up throwing up pretty much all night. And he doesn't have a fever or anything like that. I'm pretty sure he just has like a stomach bug. And, you know, his school called me because he didn't go to school today, obviously. I'm not going to send him to school if he's throwing up. But they're going to require me to give him a COVID test to come back to school if I tell him that he was sick. You can't just be normal sick anymore. You know, everything is assumed to be COVID, and he'll have to have a negative COVID test to come back to school. So I'm just gonna have to lie and tell them that I had a migraine and I couldn't bring him to school today. So that's the kind of world we live in, and it's really sad. You can't just be normal sick anymore. You can't have anything else besides COVID. It's always assumed that now. Anyways, but just thought I'd rant for a minute. I will not ever get tested, and I will never have my kids get tested. That's just my policy.
That's a world we're living in. Okay, I will go ahead and play this one because it is kind of funny. I think there is swearing at the very end.
All right, and try not to eat shit this time, all right? Just nice and slow, but make it look natural, okay? Hold on to the rail. There you go. Joe, what are you doing with your left arm there, man? Jesus Christ. Oh, okay, be careful. Right there. That's where you bit it last time. All right, be careful. Oh, my God, you look like a fucking walking corpse. All right, just turn around, salute the Marines, and get in the plane. Gee. At least you didn't fall this time, right? God, I'm gonna get fired.
That's very naughty. And in her words,
has returned my tax return to me this year after I apparently answered one of the questions incorrectly. In response to the question, do you have anyone dependent on you? I wrote 9.5 million illegal immigrants, 1.1 million crackheads, 3.4 million unemployable scroungers, 80,000 criminals in over 85 prisons, plus 650 idiots in Washington. The IRS stated the answer I gave was unacceptable. I then wrote back, who did I leave out?
Who did she leave out? I thought she handled that pretty well. I thought she covered almost everyone. All right. This man is Viva Frey, and he says, lawyer, YouTuber, Shorty award winner, GoPro award winner, cool dad, annoying husband, drone enthusiast. He does a lot of these short clips, which I've played before on here, and I believe he's from Canada. So the Quebec courts have set the new standard for the government's COVID response.
And then the judge, I think a lot of people are going to find shocking, but perfectly summarizes the attitude of the courts. The judge recognizes that Dr. Bhattacharya says that wearing face masks for children has negative effects on them, but nonetheless recognizes that children play a role in the transmission of the virus. The judge says this to conclude as follows. Bien que ce rôle est limité, précise-t-il, le risque est présent et aussi minime soit-il, il est de trop. Translation, even though this role in the spread is limited, he specifies the risk is present, and as minimal as it is too much. Just let that sink in. It's now no longer a question of how serious the risk is. If there is any risk whatsoever, it is too much, and that is according to the judge's own words.
Yeah, the risk of our children. That's crazy stuff. I found this one out of the Hill. This article. I thought I pulled this one over, but I found this one interesting too. All these things that are happening due to what's going on, and we're not really seeing a lot on this. So I don't know if it's going to let me do this. Okay. So this was out of the Hill. Dentists report increased chipped, cracked teeth and pandemic stress. John Bowden. Stress-related dental issues, including chipped and cracked teeth, are on the rise amid the COVID-19 pandemic, a survey from the American Dental Association found. In the study posted on the ADA's website this month, more than 7 in 10 dentists said they have seen an increased number of patients with tooth damage stemming from stress-related conditions. The study reviewed data from 2,299 physicians. Now, this is out of the Hill, and I don't know how accurate this article is, but I know I find myself gritting my teeth, or, I feel like I have stress in my jaws. about you all, but maybe it's all the grimacing I do when I find articles. As the pandemic continues, dentists are seeing stress-related dental conditions more and more. Marcelo Arrojo, the ADA's chief science officer, it's more important than ever for people to maintain their dental health. But going on, it says the number of dentists reporting stress-induced conditions is itself rising. Other conditions on the rise amid the ongoing pandemic include the temporal mandibular joint and muscle disorders, painful conditions that can cause the jaw muscles to involuntarily stiffen, causing the pain to the individual. So people are coming in with more tension type headaches, migraines, and decreased opening. They'll say, I used to be able to eat a turkey club sandwich, but now I can't open as big. And how much does this have to do with wearing masks? That's my question. Of course, they don't do that kind of a study because, you know, it might tell them something that they don't want to know. Okay, so to distress from that, I have a cat gif. I thought this was cute. Cats are so funny. Anyway, okay, it was just a gif. This is nice, and I can use this. This will de-stress us a little bit.
Before, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. Tell yourself Deuteronomy 28, I am the head and not the tail. Tell yourself Psalm 18, the Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer. Tell yourself Psalm 20, some trust in chariots and some trust in horses, but we will remember the name of the Lord. Tell yourself Romans 8:37, we are more than conquerors through him that loved us. Tell yourself I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Tell yourself Job 13, though he slay me, yet will I trust in him. Tell yourself Psalm 27, the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid?
Woo! Preach it, brother. And then this is cute. I don't know what is going on in this video, but Juanita Broderick tweeted this out. I mean, I know what's going on. The doggy's hungry, but holy moly. Oh my gosh, poor doggy. All the other dogs are like, hey, can you control yourself? And then he's on that slippery floor so he can't get gripped. Our vet, when we took our dog into one of our vets, their floor was like that and they'd slip all over, and so they couldn't run across the floor. But we always have big dogs. I don't know why, but we end up getting big dogs and they always drag me anyway. So, and here's this, James O'Keefe.
Yeah. Don't you think sometimes it could feed conspiracy theories, what you do?
Give me an example. Give me one specific thing we've reported that's going to feed a conspiracy theory.
Well, it could be about the
Can you name one thing that I've done that would feed a conspiracy theory?
Well, that a lot of people here talking about
See, what you're doing right now is you're feeding a conspiracy theory.
Okay.
You're saying you don't have any evidence to back up your claim. What you're doing right now is the very thing that's poisoning our media. You're contributing to the problem. You yourself are feeding conspiracy theories. I don't report anything unless I can hear the people talking and see the lips moving. That's all I ever report, okay?
Okay.
So when you say, do you think that I feed conspiracy theories? You're feeding a conspiracy theory. You're guilty of what you accuse me of. It's a psychological, it's like a sign of mental illness. You know, Carl Jung talked about it, Freud talked, it's projection.
We need the memers to put on the sunglasses on him and the, the boss music. So then Emerald Robinson tweeted this out. Nobody thinks Kay Cole James did a great job at the Heritage Foundation, except people who work at Heritage. Heritage got caught taking money from Google, and Heritage got bought off by the left to stay silent while conservatives were banned on social media. Heritage sold out. That was Emerald Robinson's take. And then this MJ's take, I thought this was interesting. Have you ever seen a pandemic in your life with such a big advertising budget? Yeah, that one had music to it. This was came out. Mac tweeted this out. We have big things coming in 2022, Mr. President. Big things coming.
I'm down here in Mar-a-Lago with the greatest president our country has ever had. We have big things coming in 2022, Mr. President. Big things coming.
Well, I just want to tell you, Madison's a friend of mine, but much more importantly, he's done an incredible job in Congress, and he's got a very big future, and I'm with him all the way. He has my endorsement. He has my complete and total, as I like to say, endorsement. And he's a very special guy, and let's back him all the way, whatever he wants to do.
Chip in to help us make sure America is first.
I'm not sure when that came out, but that seems like it was fairly recent. So breaking 911 8 hours ago, Kamala Harris will talk with Bill Clinton on Friday about the impact of COVID on women, empowering women and girls in the US around the world. Yes, folks, you heard it. VP Harris is going to talk to Clinton. Yeah, right. And then this is kind of funny. Somebody must have tweeted that out. And then this JT tweeted out savages. And the first one, Kamala Harris will go one-on-one with Bill Clinton on Friday to talk about the impact of COVID on women and empowering women, the tweet I just read. And then followed by Harry Weinstein discussing women in the workplace, followed by Anthony Weiner to discuss youth outreach, followed by Ghislaine Maxwell to discuss how girls can jumpstart their careers in the massage industry, followed by the formal announcement of the Jeffrey Epstein Memorial Foundation, followed by Armie Hammer's panel on the benefits of veganism, followed by Bill Cosby talking about the difficulties on drug addiction. Yeah, folks, these are our experts. These are the stars. These are the people they want us to follow. Let's see. I just found this one enlightening. It's just a pre-horse. So majestic. Pretty hair that horse has. I don't know what kind of breed that is. And then this was pretty too. I love nature and the outdoors. It just I just marvel at how unique and beautiful and awesome our creator is. Yeah, so pretty that they caught that on film. It was quiet. It didn't have any sound, but that owl standing down that woodpecker, holy moly. And then some of these had music with them. This one was kind of funny and short.
Who do you? President-elect Harris. Who do you work for?
Now, I'm President Harris.
Who do you work for?
Harris-Biden administration.
Nah. Yeah, he's said that many times. And then this was Melania looking great at Mar-a-Lago. So there's that. And this was cute, made me smile. Hope it makes you smile. I had quite a few animal videos, I realized, because I think that the news has been getting to me, but yeah, just the cycle we're in and just feeling so like what to do. Thank you, Soko. I just, guys, the news gets to me. I get very emotional about it. And I know, okay, maybe I'm a snowflake. I don't know if I'm a recovering snowflake, whatever, but I care for other people deeply. And the news gets to me after a while, and I think about the people and their families and their children. And so I have to take a break from it, and I have to laugh or ignore it. Or so when I'm searching for articles, I try to search for things that other people might not be looking at, that, could affect us, or that, I'm seeing some progress with that. So anyway, and I try to find clips that are just, all over the place.
Congratulate us on their big win on the New York Times. Now the suit will continue, and whatever you can do for their legal defense fund, we're with them all the way. They do incredible work. They find things that nobody would even believe possible. So James, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And for me, I feel like this is a part of what I can do for somebody. If I can show somebody's video and it gets their voice out there and they get heard and their message is special or wonderful, then that's something I can do on this platform. And so I appreciate that about this platform. I appreciate that. So I look at it as I'm sitting here as a privilege.
That's the only time you should be wearing masks. You've killed 2 birds with 1 stone here. 1, no medication, no vaccine. 2, BBC licence gone. Programming, that's all it is. That's your media, that's your fear. That's what it's all about. Smash that up and you're free from the virus. That'll do, thanks.
Now, I don't quite, if there are some English people here, I read something earlier about a license. Do you have to pay a license in England for TV, whether you watch it or not or something? You have to pay a license? I can't remember he just said it too. He said something about the BBC license or something. So I don't know what that's about. But, and then there was this.
Love you.
Good to see other people smile. And then this is kind of a curious video.
One thing in their house that's so cool. Could be a barn door. Could be a full-size mirror over a double vanity. Could be a barn beam, stone veneer, walk-in shower with black pebbles. Or could be a Joe Biden pea target. Or Hillary, Kamala, or Obama. I'm feeling Joe Biden right now. Everybody's got that one thing in their house.
That was called Political. I don't know where you can buy it, but I would think they could make a fortune on that. This one I will have to mute because it does have music and I'm not sure about that. But I thought this was really neat. So this is an 88-year-old Trump supporter who fought in the Korean War, salutes the flag, showing once a patriot, always a patriot. It's 18 seconds long. Oh. I'm breaking. So he's walking along and he sees a flag and he salutes it because he respects the flag. And he is a veteran. Cool. I like that one too. I have a real big place in my heart for veterans. Most of my mom's brothers served, and I have a lot of cousins and relatives that served too. Let's see. How did the perception that Republicans are prejudiced come about when history shows the opposite? This was kind of a little history lesson.
I'm often asked, Republican Party switch beliefs in America? The answer is no. The Republican Party was founded in 1854 as an abolitionist party, meaning we were anti-slavery, pro-freedom, pro-equality. Abraham Lincoln in 1860 was elected as the first Republican president, and he ran on a ticket that was anti-slavery. When he won, Democrats were like, he's not my president, and started leaving the Union. Republican Lincoln told the people to bear arms and form militias, and Republicans actually backed up their words of being anti-slavery by fighting a civil war to end it. Democrats proved they were in favor by fighting a civil war to keep it. Republicans went further by passing the 13th Amendment, freeing the slaves. Democrats opposed it. Republicans passed the 15th Amendment, allowing anyone to run for office and vote no matter their race. Democrats opposed it. Being pro-freedom and equality, Republicans also gave women the right to vote. Democrats opposed it. The Republican Party's always been pro-freedom. That's why we don't want the government interfering with your life. And we're pro-equality. We don't vote for policies that try to treat people differently based on their demographics. Democrats then and now have always supported policies that treat people differently.
I like that. And I don't know if you have heard of Dinesh D'Souza, but he teaches a lot about the history and things like this too. Okay, so I've got a little time left, so I'm going to play this video, and I'm going to warn you, for me, yeah, it was emotional for me to actually watch it. It's a little long. It's about 11 minutes, and it is this woman on YouTube. So this YouTube video, I believe, has been up since April 10th, 2018 on YouTube. She has 39,000 people watching. It's called Crazy Mothers, and it's by Hillary Simpson. And she's only put 2 videos up that I can see. So I'm going to go ahead and play this. And again, for me, it was kind of emotional, especially if you have a child who is special needs. Whoops.
As a mother of a vaccine-injured child, the hardest comment to hear from people is when they say over and over again, "Don't listen to them. They're just a bunch of crazy mothers." I am a mother.
I want to stop this and just say it isn't just mothers, it's fathers too. We're our children's advocates. And in times like these, and we're trying to advocate for our children, and we're going upstream, or we're going against a huge population or the narrative in the news, or against friends or relatives that don't understand where we're coming from. This is everyone that's a parent that cares about their child, I think.
I am the one who knows the rhythm of my child's heartbeat. I am the one who gave life to this baby, no easy feat. I am that baby's first food, first sustenance in every sense of the word, emotionally, physically, spiritually, whether the first or the third. I have what it needs to survive and thrive. And now that they've grown a little, as a mother, I know when they need to eat or poop or get a big hug. I know when they're hiding. I know if they're lying. I know who hit who first without even trying. I know how they like to sleep, one bundled up, one without covers, and one somewhere in between. I know all of their dreams. I know their fears, their hopes. I know their wins and their losses. I know which one loves to brush her teeth and flosses every day so she won't get a cavity. I know how he won't eat it unless it's exactly right, so I'll make 3 meals just to avoid a fight. I know how to keep them safe, how to read the emotion on their little face, how one needs a nap while the other needs some space. I know how to juggle their feelings and toys and somehow keep it together with all that noise, and most importantly, I know what happened to my little boy. I know he had his shots one day at 6 months, the DTaP rotavirus Hib, and then fell into a deep sleep as I lay him in his crib, a sleep that instantly made me uneasy. When he awoke, he just screamed. He screamed for weeks and arched his back, but the nurses said it wasn't because of the DTaP. They said he just needed to poop because he hadn't in a couple of days. And so I prayed. And when he did finally go, it was green and slimy, so acidic it burned him. My mind was turning. I thought the Rotavax was supposed to prevent just that, diarrhea. For months it stayed that way. It seemed like his tummy got worse with each passing day. Every time I held him, I could feel the volcano that had replaced his stomach. But the doctor just said it was because he liked hummus and veggies. And then the ear infections began over and over, singles and doubles. But he'd received the Hib, which was supposed to prevent this. Still, the infections continued until I relented and he was put under to have tubes put in his tiny ears. My happy boy was no more. He was fussy and hurting, always in tears. I had no place to turn. I trudged on and realized I had so much to learn. He developed food allergies, another vaccine side effect. To gluten and dairy, to soy and to citrus, to everything it seemed except for my kisses, which I smothered him in to try and help him feel better. And then around 12 months, my nightmares came true as I watched the fog roll in. It tried to take my boy too. I could see it in his face. He stopped smiling, he stopped waving, he stopped taking up space. He would stand by the window and not respond to his name. I knew then and there what was happening and began my crusade to bring my boy back, to fix my mistake. So imagine what happens when a mother realizes her child's injuries because of her. And a decision she made without researching to see if it was really as safe as they say. It drives you to the brink. And then you come back. And you think, what can I do? How can I fix this? I buried my pain. It wasn't important. Our lives have been changed. It's time to move forward. Then the research began. Studies published, books read. I reached out to doctors who scoffed and shook heads. But the new doctors and parents who embraced us with degrees, knowledge, and motives we can trust, who knew what we'd been dealing with, what was our truth. We weren't making this up, and there are things you can do to help your child recover from you. So we focused on that, what we knew. The biggest thing was, as always, the food. We changed our whole diet and lifestyle too. I wanted to heal him, not just get him through. So more research, more books, supplements, 2 probiotics and enzymes as he turned 2. He was getting better, but still verbally delayed. And I will never forget that beautiful day when I knew this regimen was working because he looked at me and sang his ABCs out of the blue. He had never uttered a part of that song before. My heart skipped a beat as my jaw hit the floor. I felt hope that day and gratitude in so many ways for the amazing doctors and authors and friends who'd kept us sane. The chiropractor, the diet, boosting his immune system, eliminating the toxins that can constantly surround him. It was all helping. Pieces of the puzzle were coming together. The fog that rolled in lifted, and we saw better weather. Turns out there's a gene, a genetic mutation that actually impairs your body's methylation. So kids who have this MTHFR or another variant, there's at least 50 so far, have a hard time removing the toxics within the vaccines. And there are plenty. We can go down the list, but there's almost too many. Fetal calf serum is a personal fave, monkey kidney cells, and aluminum phosphate. Now, aluminum is dangerous, or so says the FDA. No more than 25 micrograms a day. But in a shot, it's okay, which is good since a single vaccine can contain up to 800 micrograms. Insane. And what heavy metal have they started to say causes Alzheimer's? I'll give you a hint. It starts with an A. Then there's the formaldehyde, the egg protein, and of course aborted fetal cells. They do try to filter the dead baby stuff out, which is why it's listed as an excipient, no doubt. But the study that found injected DNA can still become biologically active and mutate? I won't get into that here, but let's just say we have no freaking clue if that's even remotely safe. There aren't enough studies, period. But why? I mean, we're talking about our children. You think they'd at least try to make sure that the adjuvants, excipients, preservatives, and of course the virus, dead or alive, will not harm as they stand there and inject it into his arm. Where's the 50-year longitudinal study of vax versus unvax? Why hasn't that happened? If the science is settled, then where is the data? Unavoidably unsafe. Or at least that's what our Supreme Court states, which makes sense when you look at the loads of vaccine injury cases and the amount of money that's been paid to keep families complacent. It's an astounding amount of money each year. A couple $100 million, just so we're clear, and that's just the families that made it to court. So many others don't know they can report it. Doctors say the reactions are normal. Chalk it up to coincidence and never record it. Parents get lost in the shuffle, don't know who to believe, and then begin the journey of trying to grieve for their kid who regressed. They start digging through the mess and trying to find a lawyer with time and energy spent while dealing with a sick kid or one that's now dead. That's why the CDC itself estimates only 1 to 10% of problems end up in their database. Go look up the numbers. The website's called VAERS. Do the math and then tell me reactions are rare. Now, there is another topic at hand, and this is the stuff that I really can't stand. People that call us crazy, they don't stop there. Mothers don't know how to read a study. They should shut up and go worry about their hair. Us crazy mothers are from all walks of life, including medical professionals. We've endured ridicule and strife, families ripped apart, friends lost. Speaking out against big pharma comes at a high cost, and still we soldier on because we hope that one day this madness will end and our kids will be safe from the now 50 injections the CDC mandates. I've scoured hundreds of studies at this point in time, and so far none of them have given me peace of mind. There isn't a safety study that takes all ingredients combined and injects it into a primate group of some kind whilst having a placebo control group and watching them for signs of neurological, physical, and developmental demise, and then follows them for years, since it can take a long time for the damage to appear and for people to realize that the autoimmune disorders, allergies, and diseases of the mind all come back to this one thing we refer to as causal ties. No study like that exists. The best the CDC can do is hand me a list of just some of the life-changing reactions that can occur and tell me not to worry, don't look any further. Definitely don't confer with the millions of parents who are fighting to be heard. I've come across this so many times. I can't ignore it anymore. I'm drawing the line. When trying to provide some proof of our experience. Hey guys, wait, look what I just read. It's making me irate. No, little girl. You don't know how to read. Go back to where you came from and continue to breed. Don't question about your babies. Leave that to us. We know the science. In God's name, you trust. All of our crazy mother stories are different and yet the same, because every single one of them contain a feeling of dread. A vaccine, a reaction, and the realization you've just made your bed. Now you have to lie in it. But I'm not gonna end this one on a bad note. Because if nothing else, take this from what I wrote. Mothers are strong and capable and resilient. We are strong enough to admit our mistake, and even stronger still to forgive ourselves, though that may take a while. We are capable of thorough research in order to help our children get better, and so many of them do. And we are resilient because we must be. Our children are officially the sickest generation. Sickness. What do people do when they get sick? As a child, as a teen, as a young adult, even when they have kids themselves? They go ask their mother. And yet they call us crazy mothers. Like that's a bad thing.
Yeah, I really liked that. That hit home. And, again, that goes for fathers, and it might go for people who don't have children and understand what they're seeing and do the research and know what, have a vested interest in that child. Yeah, that was pretty heavy. I really liked that one. I can drop that into the chat in case you'd like to share that somewhere. Again, that was by Hillary Simpson, and I think she's only put out 2 things, and this was put out at least 2 years ago. So, yeah, okay, so going back to Twitter, and okay, gonna have to scroll a bit. It reset itself, so, well, I shouldn't have left it, and then it wouldn't have reset itself. All right, I've got about 10 minutes, and sorry if I'm making you dizzy. Trying to get back to where I was at. And looks like I was here. Yep, we had that little history lesson with this guy. Oh, this is weird. I wonder if this is real or not. This was this was interesting and boggled my mind. Is that really a rat taking a shower? Is that some kind of animation or not? All right, you guys, I don't know what that was. It just says, have you ever seen a rat taking a shower? And this was Amazing Polly. She put out this video. It's 2 minutes and 20 seconds.
Report, you may have already heard that Tanzanian President John Magufuli has died. It's sad because Magufuli was a champion for his people. He stood up for them. He cut corruption. He built new infrastructure. He slashed his own salary and the salary of many people in the government to return that money to be used in programs that would better his country. Magufuli is well known for his trick he pulled on the COVID testing lab in his country. He covertly sent samples of papaya, motor oil, goats, and other things, other non-human things. He gave them human names, and he sent them to the lab. And sure enough, some of those results came back positive for COVID. And clearly, as you can see from the faces in this video, this is the crowd gathered to line the streets as his coffin passed by the other day. You can see they're not wearing any masks. The death rate in his country remained very low throughout this whole thing. And he didn't implement any of the social distancing policies, none of the lockdown policies, and none of the masking policies. He avoided the fear-mongering campaign. And for that alone, I respect the man. In today's video, I'm going to talk about some things surrounding Magufuli, the people who may have wanted to see him dead, what the shape of it looks like now. And I don't want to give the impression to anyone that I have a complete picture of what happened there, because I don't. This is just some things that stood out to me as I looked over this situation. It's important to note that Magufuli didn't just die. He had disappeared for weeks before his death was finally reported, and no one knew what was happening to him. As to his outspokenness about the PCR tests and other things to do with vaccines and coronavirus and other things, he was speaking from a position of knowledge. Magufuli graduated from...
And that was a clip of her video. It stops there. I think you can find her on her website. Amazing Polly is probably the best place to look. I don't know that she is on BitChute and Rumble and some of those. I think she's kind of retreated to mostly being on her website, and you can find her videos on her website. So this was just a nice video. Mega baby. Woo! Red, white, and blue. I like it. So amazing. don't know if that was a setup or not. Oh my goodness. Really? Masks with holes in them and they're eating and drinking out of them? Okay, maybe. Let's see. This guy tweeted out, Matthew Foldy, mentally, I am as fierce as a cockatiel on the prowl tonight, right now. Oops. Say that again. Mentally, I am a fierce cockatoo on the prowl right now. Isn't that funny? It sounds like a dog. That is funny that he's as fierce as a dog. Let's see, what else? More mega.
We are. Look at this. Look at this. This is what I'm talking about. MAGA movement is not dead. Yes, indeed, we're still out here in full effect. And MAGA means so much more now than it ever has before. I need y'all to understand that. But we are out here in full effect in Huntington Beach. What's going on, fam?
Yeah, get it out here, man. Represent
We represent. Now,
you know it.
Are you a white supremacist?
Oh, come on, man.
Are you a neo-Nazi?
I am an internalized racist. He doesn't know any better. Doesn't know any better.
We don't know. Look at this. Look at all the different colors, all different creeds out here. No, we're not white supremacists.
But you're racist.
We're not racist. Exactly. Exactly. You are clearly a Nazi.
Clearly a Nazi.
Clearly a Nazi.
White supremacist.
Absolutely.
I don't know any better.
See, this is what I'm talking about. This. We are out here. Yes.
All people, we're just human. That's who we are. Well, this is kind of neat. So it says, my daughter texted me saying someone was taping Psalm 139, 34, 14 on back of stalls. Students said it made them feel good because it wasn't hate message. And so this was on a stall. For you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. My soul knows it very well. Psalm 139, 13 through 14. Cool. Ron DeSantis giving it to the media.
And it's a fake narrative. I just disabused you of the narrative, and you don't care about the facts because obviously I laid it out for you in a way that is irrefutable. And so it's clearly not. No, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. Yes, sir.
I love that he doesn't take the media's grief. He talks back to him, and I love that about him. Let's see. I'm not sure about that one, if it has music or not. That one's probably too long to play. Let's see, this is Savvy Truth.
So let me get this straight. Men can join women's sports. They can take away scholarships that should have gone to a woman. They can take away achievements and awards that should have gone to a woman. And now they can join and win women pageants. So basically, what we're teaching all of our daughters and young girls out there is that no matter how you train, no matter how hard you work, no matter how hard you deserved it, you will never be better than the guys. And now you'll never be better than the guys at literally being a woman. We have literally created a glass ceiling for women, and I am not okay with that.
Dang, our world is crazy, is it not? It's just so crazy. Bavarian beer test positive for COVID. And here's conservative mama.
Donald Trump, those kids out of those cages! Let them go! Let them go! Let them! I can't even talk about it. I can't. The Trump administration is just, they're sure evil. They're so evil. I'm so sorry. Trump thinks he's a real tough guy, huh? I'm gonna put Trump in a cage. That's right, I'm gonna put Trump in a cage. Guys, hey, we're good. We're good. Thank you for this, but we're good now, okay? We've got Biden now currently in the White House, and we're just gonna rename the cages, okay? We're gonna rename the cages migrant facilities, and we're good. So your services are no longer needed. Thank you, but back it up, okay? That's a wrap. But seriously, we're good. We don't need to talk about this anymore. We're just gonna move on. Just move on. Thank you so much. But we're good now. We're good. Okay. Oh. Okay. What? Oh. Huh. Okay. Well, I guess we're done here. Okay. What? Oh, so we're good? Okay, it's a wrap. What? Oh, okay. Well, anybody want to go to lunch?
And that was Conservative Mama, folks. You can find her on Twitter. You can find her, I think, on her own website. You can find her on Telegram. And I went over my time. I'm sorry, guys.
No problem. No worries. That was funny.
All right. The new guard is here, folks.
Good
Take
stuff.
it away.
Thank you, Sunny Days.
Oh.
Have a great rest of your Wednesday night.
All right. Thank you so much. Bye.
All right.
Bye-bye.
There she goes. That's Sunny Days. Welcome everybody to the new guard. Pixels. Do you have the intro ready to roll, buddy?
I do.
Well,
Let's just get it up on the screen and
Back
all right,
in a
everyone. The new guard starting right now.
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice.
If fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
This is not simply another four-year election. This is a crossroads in the history of our civilization that will determine whether or not we, the people, reclaim control over our government.
You are watching The New Guard here on the 5x5 network, and Pixels is lucky to be alive.
Pixels is lucky to be alive.
Yeah, man, I was really sick.
Oh, you're really sick?
I was, man. It was horrible. I'll spare you the details, but it was not fun at all.
Well, I'm glad you've managed to recover in time for the New Guard, buddy. I appreciate you being here. Live chat, it's great to be with you guys as well. This is the New Guard on the 5x5 network. We do this little show from 6 to 7 every single Wednesday evening, and it's become quite the highlight of the week. Really enjoy the time we spend together, Pixels. So other than getting over some illness, man, what else is new?
Not much. I'm a little bit rusty on the news today. I had to go run some errands before the show, so I didn't really get a chance to look at the headlines. But I figured with your show earlier, you'd know all about what's going on.
Oh yeah, just throw it all on my back. I see how it is, man. Yeah, I didn't close any of my links. Any of my links from yesterday. One of the things I kicked off my show earlier today talking about was this whole situation with the Boulder shooting and how the FBI seemed to had already had the shooter on their list of like people to keep an eye on or to watch, or as potential threats, I guess.
It's just wonderful.
Yeah, so there's this tweet here. So the FBI knew in advance the identity of Ahmed al-Alawi and the Pulse nightclub shooter, San Bernardino terrorists, Boston Marathon bombers, Garland, Texas shooters, and the Parkland High School shooter, Fort Hood shooter. Never has one entity known so much and done so little. And it's pretty stunning to me, right? And I made this point on my show earlier. The FBI had the resources to show up at my door for simply being in DC on a given day. They showed up at Dilly's house 2,000 miles away because he broadcasted events that were happening in DC on a certain day. The FBI seems to have all the resources and time in the world to harass patriotic citizens exercising their First Amendment rights. The FBI seems to have all the time in the world to go and intimidate and coerce against Oath Keepers and different organizations that are politically against the establishment. When it comes to stopping mass shooters, the FBI seems to be MIA, don't they, Pixels? It almost feels like to me they want these shootings to occur. I don't know. What do you think, man?
I think they're too focused on the non-existent white supremacist terrorism, right? That they say is so prevalent in the country. I mean, give me a break. And the other thing that I noticed about this whole thing was that all of the news networks had their narrative ready, seemingly almost before it happened, right? Mm-hmm. They were so quick to basically just call it, "Yep, it was some crazy white guy," right? Yep. Turns out that's not what happened at all. It was some crazy freaking Muslim extremist from where was he from? Syria. Yeah. Oh, and it wasn't Syria in the list of countries that President Trump halted immigration from.
Yep, he actually came here on Obama's immigration plan prior to the travel ban. So further proving President Trump's point. And I had this today too. And of course, the Gateway Pundit's going to lag out on me, but all 10 of the victims were white people. So, I'm expecting, Pixels, as I said earlier on my show, I'm expecting all of corporate America, every politician in DC and elsewhere, honestly, to come out and give a wonderful virtue signal to protecting white people, to ending the hatred against white people, because there's very clearly an anti-white discrimination going on in this country. I know I feel threatened by it, Pixels. I'm sure you feel threatened by it. We have become a persecuted demographic. We've become suppressed, oppressed.
We've become the boogeyman.
I'm not good at being the victim yet. I haven't mastered all of my terminology, Pixels. I'm not sure where to go to get my reparations yet. I mean, clearly everyone from Syria in this country owes me money because of the crimes that this one Syrian committed. I think that's how it works, right? I think all Syrians in this country now owe me money. So if the government can go ahead and tax Syrians extra and pay white people because of this transgression, I think that's only right. I don't know. Can I get into a better college now too? Like, do I, with lower SAT scores, am I entitled to a higher paycheck or more? Do I qualify for that promotion at work more than I did a week ago? I'm confused as to how we use this oppression and transgression against us to our benefit. Again, I'm new to the victim game, Pixels. I'm gonna need someone out there to show me around this world and how we effectively navigate it, because I'm feeling very, very scared as a white American, and I feel like the government needs to do more to protect me against other races. It's a real problem.
I think it might sound really strange coming from a white mouth, but can't we all just like not pay attention to the color of our skin?
Whoa,
is that too radical of an idea? I mean, because I don't know about you, Adel, and I see where you're going with this, and it's brilliant. It really is, and I'm sure we don't have to tell anybody out there that you're being facetious, right? But I don't want to play the victim game.
I'm not being facetious at all. I expect reparations. We have been targeted, Pixels.
Yeah,
we have been targeted. Yeah. We are clearly in danger in this country as white Americans. And you think I'm being facetious. I'm not. I am being very serious. You're
dead serious? You want reparations for white people?
I'm dead serious. I want reparations for white people. We are being targeted in mass shootings. There was one, I don't know if you heard, in Boulder on Monday, 10 white people were killed. Clearly this was a Syrian man that wanted nothing more than to kill white people.
Yeah.
So I feel like the government isn't doing enough to protect white people. Clearly we need more laws in place to protect white people. I'm just saying.
I think that it should probably be seen as a crime when the entire mainstream media complex is just constantly bashing white people all the time. They even refer to things they don't like as white now. Yeah. Right? Like white has become like the new N-word for them.
Yeah, it has.
And I honestly, I think that if they continue driving that nail, there's going to be more violence against white people in this country.
Absolutely.
And I can't help but think that maybe that's their freaking goal. So I agree with you. I think that something needs to be done about it.
Can we get hashtag White Lives Matter start trending? I think it's beyond time that we had a White Lives Matter hashtag.
You know how incredibly infuriated the left would be if we did that, and to that I say yes, let's do it. Let's get that trending.
Nature Ninja out there said Adel's gonna milk this joke all day. It is a joke. I am being facetious in case there is anybody who's incredibly dense out there. Our FBI friends. I don't know if they might not get the joke. I am joking, but yeah, I am gonna milk the joke all day because I think that's what you're supposed to do, right? If anyone of a different skin tone does anything to someone that shares your skin tone, then I think you're pretty much supposed to declare there's an all-out race war against you and expect the government to fix it for you. I'm pretty sure that's the new way this society works. So I'm just playing the game the way everybody else is. It was 10 out of 10 white people. You can't deny the numbers. This is clearly an anti-white hate crime.
I don't know. Maybe
I'm sorry, man.
I feel like maybe though, because I heard that he's got some extreme religious ideas that maybe tie into the whole ISIS thing. So maybe it wasn't even racially motivated. Maybe it was religiously motivated, which to me
is racist. That's racist to even suggest that it wasn't racist was a motive. Like this is the game. This is how you play the game.
And I hate this game. I hate it.
I'm sorry, Pixels. This is the field we're on right now. So that for you to even suggest that this might have been blind hate, that there was no racial motivation, that's racist. As a white person who was clearly victimized, I wasn't victimized, but they do share the same skin color as me, so I can claim agreed status as well.
You can't. The only thing you're missing though is you can't be racist against white people. That's just not a thing.
Oh. Never mind. Forget everything I said.
That's the field that we've been put on.
I know.
Right?
I know. And I agree with you. I hate the game too. Because it's so stupid, right? It's so stupid. It's the same with like like the anti-Asian crime, like
Oh my
they're
God, they're trying to manufacture that.
exactly. It's the same thing. It's the same thing, and it's just like if I'm if you're to suggest that the massage parlor shooting had nothing to do with Asians or women, you're racist. If you want to say that had nothing to do, even though that's what he said, that's what the police said, the FBI said, that's a racist narrative. But for me to come out here and say, well, this Syrian guy, this Muslim guy, this extreme Islam guy, this ISIS, this guy who swore his allegiance to ISIS came out and committed a hate crime against white people. Now we have a serious problem, don't we? With that whole way of thinking. I'll knock it off with the sarcasm and the joke on it, but it's just it really makes the point, doesn't it? When I come out there and I start demanding reparations.
Imagine if it was. Here's what I'll say, okay, to everybody out there. Imagine the difference in coverage and the difference in the amount of outrage, of which right now there is practically zero outrage out there because of what happened here. If you flipped the races, if it was a white guy shooting up 10 Middle Eastern people or 10 Asians or 10 black people or 10 Hispanic people, there would be a nationwide outrage party right now. There would be riots, and it would be a completely different picture. But because the people who were shot were white and it was done by a non-white person, there is zero outrage. They want this to go away, except whatever they can use it for their gun control agenda, they're going to use it, and they already have. And you know what? That's the thing to me, because and I'm sure for you as well, because both of us are very hard set in our support of the Second Amendment. What's outrageous to me is how quickly, how little time it took for the entire government to start calling for basically the taking away of our gun rights. And they're gonna call it an assault weapons ban, like what Clinton did, right? Which blatantly unconstitutional, never should have been done in the first place. It's a I almost just said the F-bomb. It is a semi-automatic rifle, no different than a hunting rifle. It just looks scary, okay? And that's what they're coming after. But you know what? They're not going to stop there. They're not going to stop there. They're going to go for your handguns because they're going to say that they're easy to conceal. Then they're going to go for any other semi-automatic weapon out there at all. They'll be gone. You will not be allowed to have them, or they will just make it so damn hard to get them that it's practically impossible. And then you know what they're going to do after that? Like those idiots over in the UK, and I gabbed about this, like those freaking morons over in the UK and all our UK viewers out there. I don't mean you. I mean your government, which is incredibly cucked. They're going to come after your kitchen knives after they take the guns, okay? They're literally using this, just like they always do, to try and fulfill their extreme left-wing agenda, which happens to include disarming the public. And remember, a government does not disarm anybody unless they're planning on doing something that could get them shot. End of. So this bullshit has to stop. There have been a couple times that this has happened where there's been a shooting and the whole government calls for gun control, and every time it makes me angrier than I think anything else that happens, because that is the one right that we have. That is what's standing between us and complete and total tyranny. That's the one thing standing between us and total tyranny. And when people try and take that away, my blood boils, man. I don't know what to say other than that.
Well, to me, it's exciting that they're going to try to do this, because I look at this whole next couple of years as a giant red pill for the people that you and I can't reach. They're going to have to walk through the darkness. That whole mindset. What was there was something that we talked about a lot over the past year, Pixels. A statistic that I brought up over and over again. Really, I would say for the past 12 months consistently, and that was gun sales, number of new gun buyers, right? Between COVID and the George Floyd Summer of Love, Americans on both sides of the aisle in record numbers went to their local gun stores and bought their first gun. The understanding of the Second Amendment and the need for it has never been more obvious to Americans than it has been over the past 12 months. You had, I think, this past year over 20 million gun buyers, or 20, I can't remember the exact. It was an absurd number of new gun buyers, up 73% or 90 or over 70% of where it was a year ago. So I see the country as pro-gun, in a very pro-gun mindset right now. You know, I don't think this is a good optics play, to use that word I hate so much, from the deep state or cabal standpoint. To have the pandemic, you've been taking away people's freedoms, really kind of ruling with a more authoritarian fist. To go after guns kind of at the same time, I think is a bridge too far, especially after more and more people really.
Here's my question.
Good.
I mean, you can finish if you want, but,
no,
but my question to you is, who's going to stop them?
I mean,
why do the optics matter? They just stole an election from us, for God's sake.
Well, first of all, you got to ask, how are they actually going to enforce this, right? They're going to try and do buybacks. They're going to try. It's going to be more voluntary, and I have a feeling that they're not going to be coming after the guns that you already have. They're going to be trying to stop the purchase of new firearms. Is, I think, where it's likely going to go. Is likely to get through to get anything through. They're likely going to have some kind of grandfather clauses for guns that you already have. Logistically, they're not going to be able to disarm the American people, and there's enough constitutional sheriffs in this country to create enough. I mean, you saw they tried to, in Virginia was a perfect example. A year or so ago, they tried to put some really, really crazy gun control laws in Virginia. In almost every county, I think it was like 85 or 90% of the counties in Virginia stood up and said, we're not going to enforce this. We will all become Second Amendment sanctuaries if you go through with this. We've already seen a few different places in the country do that again now. So look, I think that, the Biden administration, they may sign some kind of executive order. It's not going to have any teeth. It's not law. Executive orders aren't law. There's no way you can circumnavigate the entire Constitution with an executive order. It's not going to work. They could try to get it through Congress, but Joe Manchin's already stood up against this. I don't see any Republicans going for it. It's going to be more talk than anything else. They're going to try to take an inch here. They're going to ask for a mile. Republicans might give them an inch, but I don't see this going too far in the next couple of years. Now, if we don't, they will continue to chip away. If we don't get back control of our government here over the next few years, they will chip away and push further and further. But I'm not super worried for the immediate short term. I still think there's enough resistance to this. There's enough resistance to this in government. And I still think this is a non-winning issue. I don't think they're going to push this too hard right before a midterm where they're already pretty scared. They're already very scared of the next midterm. Make no mistake about it. The last time they did the assault weapons ban, I think it was a historic midterm for the Republicans. They know better. They're going to stock a big game, but they're not going to do anything. I really don't.
Do you think they're just trying to hype this narrative up right now to try and worsen the ammo and gun shortage that we're experiencing right now? You think it could be just as simple as that? Because essentially, if we can't get ammo and we can't purchase guns, then they already have what they want. They don't even have to pass any laws or write any executive orders or do anything.
I mean, they're making gun manufacturers incredibly rich. They're making ammo companies incredibly rich right now. So if those are the people they're trying to hurt.
But I feel like they're screwing with the market to the point where, the demand is so much higher than the supply, and it's a crappy situation.
It's a crappy situation, but one that only helps gun sales. That only help, like, you're just creating a larger demand for what you're trying to eliminate. So I think if that's I think that's a horrible strategy if that's what they're trying to do.
I think they're trying to. I don't think they care about gun manufacturers getting money. I think their goal is to keep guns and ammo out of the hands of the American people, and it's a perfect strategy if that's what you're trying to do.
Yeah, but all they're doing is just getting more and more people to buy it. Like, there's a reason there's a shortage. It's because more people are buying it. So they're not keeping it out of people's hands. They're just getting more and more people to buy it the second it becomes available. Their laws, their agenda isn't making less ammo. It's just getting more people to purchase it. So I